Happy Thursday, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thank you so very much for making us part of your day. Another blistering day in Mesa, Arizona. I am hatless because, holy shit, I got a big ingrown hair on the top of my head. So, receding hairline, no hair. Yeah, a little receding, right? It's headed back there. It's going way back. We're going to have it there. You almost said no hat. Sorry about that. Yeah, I feel like it's a good idea to occasionally show the receding hairline just to give MAGA something new to talk about. It's frustrating probably for them to say the same shit every single day. So there we go. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning, sunshine.
How are you?
Oh, I'm lovely. How are you?
Good. How was your date last night?
It was good.
You yelled at me a little
After
bit during our members only
well,
event.
well, because you were taking forever in a day, and I was waiting.
Yeah.
So
What did we eat?
I went to the place that I got that salmon that you talked shit about before.
Ah, that's right. The DoorDash salmon, which is crazy.
Well, it's good. It's good.
I,
So
I believe you. It's just that. Never mind. I don't give it away. Well, that place is everywhere, so it doesn't really matter, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Forget what it's called, but it has like the world's largest menu. I have a
Well,
hard time ordering there because the menu's
I
like,
think you're confusing Cheesecake Factory.
no, I swear it doesn't have a huge menu too.
Maybe they reduced it down, but it's not as big as I remember.
I
So
forget what it's even called. I don't know if you want to say it.
BJ's. So.
That's right, BJ's. Shave it bald is beautiful. I shave it all the time. And then I let it grow out sometimes. We do a little bit of that. BJ's, that's right. Where you get your
Yeah.
grilled salmon. They're the Pazuki people.
Yeah, yeah, Spawn requested a Pizookie have one brought home for her, which I did, but there was a situation that the ice cream that came with it ended up um, having got melted because my car's battery decided not to not to
Come on.
start. So
Is that really what happened?
yeah, my battery went dead. Yeah, absolutely.
So you drove. Duke didn't drive.
Well, we met because he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't live
Oh,
super
okay.
far, and he's in the chat.
Sub Duke. Oh, there you are.
Um,
Duke Dirt Road. Good morning, Jen. You were amazing last night. So sweet and so kind. Yeah, fucking right. Yeah, fucking right, dude.
yeah, no, so he doesn't live super far away, but it's more convenient just to meet somewhere. So
What'd you
um,
do after dinner?
that's kind of why the battery died in my car. So yeah,
And did
turns
dirt-
out if you don't start the car and you're just letting it run, um, that can kill your battery.
yeah.
So
Were you
yeah,
unaware of that?
I was busy.
Ew. Gross. You're like a teenager. It's crazy. Like the fact that you
It's
have
ridiculous.
yeah.
I legit feel like I'm 16,
Don't you get
17.
nervous that like you're gonna get a tap on the window?
I mean, it's a I mean, I watch, I look out, so
All right. I see my water sitting over there, which I'm going to need today. Can you do announcements while I go grab it?
sure.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
She is blushing, I think, a little bit. I think we might have got her
No, I'm
face
just
to turn around.
laughing because I know you're going to get water just because you just don't want to hear about this anymore.
It's both. Yeah. I'll be right
Yeah.
back.
Get your water. All right. Welcome everybody. We're just getting started. We've got a gift goal that we hit each day if you're not new here that we need to so that we can keep doing the show Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats are all ways to knock out the gift goal. We prefer the pay links because they take less from us, but anything is accepted, all's appreciated. Um, if you haven't subscribed to us already, if you're not a paid member wherever you're watching, you should you should do that so you can join us for members only events. We had one last night. We watched Life, Liberty, and Life, Larry, in the Pursuit of Unhappiness. I watched a couple episodes of that.
Did you watch it? Were you locked in?
I mean, I was listening to it.
It's so good. I loved it.
I was talking about this with you. I just think it's just not my style of comedy. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just
because
not
it's
my
funny.
favorite. It's all right. It's okay. I don't think it's hilarious. I mean, it's
I don't know how
funny.
you didn't die at the Abraham Lincoln one. How's that not the funniest
I
thing
mean, it
you've
was.
seen? It's so funny.
It's just kind of trying too hard. I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain it. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's fine.
Jen's too cool
It's
for
not.
effort.
It's not. It's not terrible, but it wasn't necessarily my favorite either.
All
So
right, fair
glad I
enough.
was there, even though I was trying to get out the door and you kept asking dumb questions. So
Sorry, my bad.
because I was trying to be on time, to arrive at the place on time, and I blamed it on you.
Yeah, I mean, you were
But
10 minutes late to the event, but yeah, you better be on time
I
for
was 3 minutes
dinner.
late. It was three.
Okay,
It was three. So
sorry.
so yeah. Anyways, yeah. So if you're not a paid member, you should become one so we can be part of those chats. If you guys disagree with our TP and you want to come up and have a conversation, you can do that by sending me a message on Discord, and I can bring you on. My Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So Jen with two N's, WTB is the number one. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. She's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. Um, and yeah, let's see too.
Let's see what?
Did you? I said, let's see. That's what I
Oh,
said. Um, did you know people are like onions?
I mean, they have layers. Yeah.
Sure, there's that. If you chop them up into tiny pieces, everyone will probably start crying.
Jesus, it was dark this morning. Uh, all right. Thank you, Damien, for already joining the Dollar Train. Appreciate you. As Jen mentioned, we are crowdfunded, so if you want to help us knock out that gift goal, that would be greatly appreciated. That's how we keep the lights on here. Welcome to anybody who's new. I welcome everybody on TikTok. Looks like a small crowd on TikTok. I don't even know how many people show up on TikTok. All I know is we are, maybe 10 minutes in, and we have already gotten a warning from TikTok. So we're being throttled, but I appreciate you guys who go out of your way to find us on TikTok. That's a hell of a battle that you fight every morning to make sure that you find us when they try and hide us. It's like a game of hide and seek, I imagine. Where are all the other debtors? You are a breath of fresh air. Did you mean debaters? I'm not sure what that meant. I moved from TikTok because they suck. Yeah. No, we love TikTok. We love the TikTok shop. It's very cool. Make sure if you're over on TikTok, if you can, try and gift, and that makes TikTok think a little bit harder about shadow banning us. But if not, you could head over. There's a big chat on YouTube. If you like debate, head to YouTube. If you're cool and you're not trying to be a troll, perhaps go to Twitch. The Twitch mods are they're a little less lenient. So if you head over there to Twitch, we kind of keep that one a little cleaner. And so we don't necessarily want you in there fucking shit up. So stay in YouTube if you're here to fuck shit up. I don't know if we see any of our MAGA people yet, but when May gets here, I'm sure things will be awesome. When Frank gets here, that'll be nice and awesome. And look forward to seeing you guys today. It's another wonderful day in the United States of America, where this administration continues to be absolutely batshit crazy. Parker, Dean, et cetera, nowhere to be found. Have they not been debating? I don't see them. I want to start with this clip because I just want to point out once again that Republicans can talk all they want about protecting women. The biggest threat to women and children is white Christian conservative men. This is I don't know, not Christian. I don't believe Ennis Cantor here, but the only person trying to put men in the WNBA currently, well, I guess there's two people. You got Royce White and Ennis Cantor. Nobody, the WNBA isn't saying let's bring men into our sports. Democrats aren't even talking about the WNBA because why the fuck would we? And Ennis Cantor or Ennis Freedom Cantor is trying to get into the WNBA. Years ago, my friends and I had a podcast, and my friend who was a Utah Jazz fan hated Ennis Cantor, and his nickname, and many Jazz fans nicknamed him Penis Cancer. It's pretty close. So here's Ennis Cantor talking about how he wants to abuse women.
The WNBA told you or got in contact with you, they were reporting that sources were telling them that, in fact, you are not going to be eligible for the draft next year. Have you heard anything official?
No, please do not believe those news because they're all fake news. The NBA commissioner or the task force or the WNBA itself did not contact with us, or we didn't hear anything official. Listen, I'm a peacemaker. I'm not a troublemaker, and I'm a very easy person to deal with. If they ever have,
let's ask this. Let's play this game. Thomas, appreciate you here. Said watching leftists try to run away from the trans nonsense they support is fantastic. I do not support men in women's sports. Do you? I'm 100% comfortable with testing, allowing trans women to play in women's sports. I'm comfortable with that. That's my position. Is your position that men should play in women's sports? Because this is Enes Kanter, a man, not a woman. He doesn't, by the way, he doesn't identify as a woman. I could say I'm a turtle right now. That doesn't mean I identify as a turtle. I identify as a man. I use he, him pronouns, right? I don't identify as anything else. I don't identify as a woman. Neither does he. I don't know why you guys think this is like the own that you think it is. This is proof that literally nobody wants men in women's sports. The only people supporting this, somehow, you guys have gone so far out of your way with your transphobia that now you have become people advocating for men in women's sports. That's how far off the narrative you've gotten. I'm obsessed with it. I don't know why. I don't know why you even care about this shit. You're claiming the entire left and Democrat Party haven't supported trans people playing in sports. Yeah, we support trans people playing in sports. This is not a trans person. So this has nothing to do with what we support. This is a man trying to play in the WNBA, a man that played in the NBA. Which one of us is pushing for men and women's sports? I think it's you. You fucked up your entire narrative. Now even you have to admit just right there, like, yeah, we support trans people, and there's obviously a difference between a trans woman and Enes Kanter. You've just admitted that. You've now lost the argument, and you're so far removed from the argument that you're just like, oh, we got to put men in women's sports to prove a point. And the WNBA is like, nah. And you're like, see what? Who's pushing back? Wouldn't it be, if we wanted men in women's sports, wouldn't we be like, yeah, let's have Enes Kanter play in the WNBA? Wouldn't we be doing that? What do you mean when you say testing? I think that in sports, we already do like testing for testosterone. You could do, I don't know if bone density really matters, but you can do testosterone testing already, right? You can have a baseline. I just don't think like your genitals should determine what league you play in. So there's obviously an issue. It's not much of an issue. I don't know. I know of one. Somebody brought up her name the other day. There's one trans woman in France playing in like the second division in France, nowhere near the WNBA. I don't care if she plays in the WNBA, but I also don't like if we're gonna have fairness, it shouldn't be just about your genitals, right? Like we have Paralympics. There's certain things that you have to qualify for to be in the Paralympics. For the regular Olympics and for every one of these sports, for the WNBA, for the NBA, there's testing. You can't have certain. I'm a fan of mixed martial arts. They do testosterone testing. They do drug testing. They do steroid testing. They try and test for things like HGH, anabolic steroids. Treat it like wrestling match with similar build and skills to similar build and skills. Yeah. I mean, it's not an easy solution, but it's also not a thing that anybody really has to address in the WNBA. There are no issues currently. This is the only issue currently in the WNBA. He's making his own issue, and you guys fall for it. Mostly, I just wanted to play this to point out that and this is the kind of the theme of the show. Republicans are so fucked, and they are so void of any sort of solutions that the only thing they can do is rely on phobia, Islamophobia, transphobia, immigrant phobia. They just have to try and scare you because they don't have anything to run on. Things are going so poorly they can't run on anything.
Some kind of issue, please come and talk to me. And listen, we're not asking anything difficult. All we're asking is, Article 13, right, Section 1 says
He's trans because he says he is. If he says he's a woman and wants to play in the WNBA, then it's her right. What? Democrats created this? No, we didn't. Nobody created this. You can't even get he is trans because he says he is. Well, he's assigned male at birth. So you don't even know how to use pronouns. Everybody, obviously, he identifies as man. He is not trans. I know you guys think that this is the loophole. Like, this is what you've been arguing forever. This is the test of your argument. Your argument forever has been we have to demonize trans people. We have to attack trans people because all it takes is somebody that is dangerous saying, "Oh, I'm a woman," and suddenly they're allowed. Well, here's an opportunity to prove your point. Enes Kanter is saying, "I'm a woman." The WNBA is saying, "No, you're not." You've lost the argument now. You claim that this is what could happen. You claim this is what is happening. And then when you try it, it doesn't work. And you're not going to change your opinion? You're going to hold your same opinion that this is what is happening? It's clearly not happening, right? My Trump phobia. I'm not afraid of Trump. I'm tired of Trump. What are you afraid? I mean, I guess we were afraid that he would be president. I don't like giving him power. So sure, call it Trump phobia. That's fine. We can call it Trump phobia. I take that back. I am afraid of Donald Trump making decisions. That's true.
As if you identify as a woman.
A man from France is trying to get in WNBA can't decide who is or isn't a woman. No, the woman in France is in the second division of in Ligue 2. We looked this up. She's nowhere near good enough to play in the WNBA. She can't even make it to the top division in France.
You're allowed to play. So if tomorrow they can come up and add the word biological next to the female, I will drop everything immediately. But till then, I am allowed to play. I should be playing, and I will be getting ready for the 2027 WNBA draft.
Yeah, he's not going to get drafted. Leave if you're scared. That's the thing. There's a difference between being afraid of things and being a bitch, right? I can be afraid of things and I can fight back. It's fight or flight. I think that's a look into your mind. You probably run from things when you're afraid. Not me. I stay and I fight. That's what we're doing here. And by the way, it's looking good. It's looking like Trumpism is dying. I'm a fan of that. Amy said, "Damn, that man is so insecure and wants attention." Also, about 1 in around 1,000 babies are born ambiguous, and doctors and parents have been choosing for the baby for years. No, that couldn't possibly be true, Amy. There's no way that's true. Cam says, "Jay's such a cornball. He absolutely has live, laugh, love decor somewhere in his house." Fuck off. Now you're just taking cheap shots because it hurts my feelings when you call me cornball. Peter said Antifa dues and also fuck Frank. Well, I wouldn't if I were you, but I understand what you're saying. Just in general, fuck Frank. All right, let's move on from Enes Kanter. Yesterday in our members only event, somebody referenced this joke. I haven't even seen it yet, but hopefully this is the right one. I guess. By the way, Jelly Roll maybe was hosting for Jimmy Kimmel. What is he just on vacation? Why are there all these extra hosts filling in for Jimmy Kimmel? I don't know the answer to this question. You guys know?
By the way, I can't believe out of all the jokes I've told the past few nights, the one that really seemed to make people mad about what I said about the president was when I said he was overweight.
He's on vacation? Okay.
I thought fat on fat crime was okay. I mean, we can debate whether this president is mentally fit, but I think we can all agree he is certainly not physically fit.
Nobody in this administration would be allowed to say that. It's fine. You can say it. But it is Kim Jong-un style. We're not allowed to say this. I thought Jelly Roll was MAGA. I don't know what he is. I don't know. Fuck Jelly Roll with a rancid cactus. Goddamn. I don't know anything about Jelly Roll, to be honest. I couldn't even tell you what he sings.
But I hope I can inspire the Donald man. If I can lose all that weight, he can too. And in fact, there is a new medication on the market designed specifically for him.
Is your obesity making it difficult for you to focus on the things you love?
I love McDonald's.
Does your butt bulge in ways that defy the laws of physics?
There's so much fat. Tremendous fat.
Introducing Donjaro, a once-daily injection that goes right into your presidential ass. and reduces cravings so you can get right back to the executive orders that matter most.
Can I have 30 milkshakes?
Side effects may include meeting drowsiness, irritability, confusion,
Jelly Roll is a Dell for forklift drivers and those who know the exact price of copper.
bruising of the hands, massive cankles, and orgasmic grunting. Ask your Dr. Oz if Donjaro is right for you. Donjaro,
It's a fat shot drug.
from the makers of Viagra.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
Yeah, I don't know. There seems to be mixed reactions on Jelly Roll. I don't know a goddamn thing about Jelly Roll, and I apologize. I probably sometimes play clips of people that are shitty people on this show. I hadn't seen it. That's pretty funny. Sorry if he's a piece of shit. I don't know anything about him. But the good news is we can all hate Tucker Carlson again. Tucker Carlson. A lot of people were wondering what happened. Like, did he have a change of heart? Is he a white nationalist? And he just showed up and interviewed Greg Bovino, and we can reconfirm he has not abandoned any of his white nationalist views. This is one of the most disconnected from reality interviews I've seen in a very, very long time. There is nothing more hysterical and afraid than a MAGA man, and I think this kind of illustrates that. Amy's I got that one from Amy already. Robert said no negative Niner news today, so I'll just say Jesse Holly. Great. I don't know who Jesse Holly is either. Sorry. I don't know anything outside of politics. I never stopped hating Tucker. Okay, wait, we don't have to question, I guess. Yeah. We don't have to question his white nationalism anymore. Here he is with Greg Bovino, all 5'1" of him.
And you weren't doing something illegal,
Right, yeah.
then absolutely every minute of the day. But apparently others don't see it that way.
Oh, by the way, Greg Bovino thinks because he's fired and the government isn't walking around protecting him that Donald Trump's trying to get him killed, or our government wants to kill him or allow him to be killed.
You know that.
You know, I got a call from another Border Patrol chief, a retired chief, who got a call from them saying, hey, if you don't stop, we're taking it away.
Stop what?
Stop coming on Tucker Carlson and
Pointing
telling the
out that
truth.
there's still 105 million
Yes.
illegal aliens in the country?
You bet. And
Homan did that?
his people. Yeah, I can't say he did. His people, yes.
105 million? 100. They think. What's that percentage wise? 125%. 105 times 4. I guess is less than that. We're at 105 million now.
You bet.
Again, I've interviewed the guy a number of times. I hope he'll come back. I'd love to ask him about this.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe that would, hell, I'd like to ask him about it.
Have you talked to him?
30%? 30% of the country? 32, is that what it is? 30. They're saying 30%, 32% of the country is here are undocumented immigrants? For sure. Yeah.
Two left?
No.
So I'd love to put a finer point. I mean, first of all,
It's not white nationalists, it's just nationalist, fool. You just communist Marxist pretending to be a socialist. Nobody can see that it's transparent. But good Lord, John, get it together. It is white nationalist. You know how I know it's white nationalist? Guess what they're not going to talk about at any point today? Guess what they're never going to talk about? Immigration from predominantly white countries. Never going to do that.
what you said is shocking. Everything you've said is shocking. And really, really distressing and dark. If you think Homan and this other guy want you dead, I mean, that's unbelievable.
Well, proof's in the pudding.
I think it's
Well, no, it's not because you're alive. So proof's not in the pudding. Maybe they just keep missing. Maybe they're aiming too high. I don't know. It seems like you'd be an easy guy to take out if they wanted to take you out.
fair. But why? I'd love to know a little more precisely why they're so
Carlson was right about the voting machine. I don't know what he said about the voting machines. I'm not sure. He could have been right about that.
mad at you.
I think when we have cheap labor politicians
Yep.
who are a very powerful force. I didn't realize they were this powerful, very powerful force. That puts a lot of pressure on some individuals, and some individuals maybe they want.
Who hurt Bovino? I know the answer to this. It's his whole life changed when on his 18th birthday he went to Disneyland and still couldn't ride any of the rides, and ever since then he's been pissed off.
The lucrative contracts also. I don't know. I can't say that for sure, but There's something there behind the scenes that causes that to happen. It doesn't just happen just for the hell of it. Hey,
No,
let's have Bovino dead. But
not because voters want it. Voters wanted to get back to the sort of pre-lunatic American population. They don't want to live in a crowded, poor country. Who wants that? Nobody wants to live in Bangladesh. So like, this is nuts. And that's what voters wanted. That's why they elected Trump. That and no new foreign wars. And then the donors convinced Trump to fight a foreign war that voters did not want. And it sounds like donors also pushed Trump to stop immigration enforcement.
yes,
You think that's true?
I do. Absolutely. You bet.
Yeah, this is an easy one though. Like, you have to go so far out of your way to say that it's about cheap labor. It's about elections. It's about humanity. People can't stomach. Most people can't stomach watching what Border Patrol was doing. You don't want to. People in America don't want to be forced. Generally, now these guys are cool with it, but generally in America, people don't want to be forced to defend ICE murdering people in the streets. People don't want to defend that, like, less than 5% of the people that ICE has detained and thrown in detention centers have a criminal record. That's just hard. That's just hard to defend. That's what happened.
I mean, look at some of the politicians that came out against me or Kristi Noem, specifically after the surrender in Minnesota, the Kennedys at Louisiana, or McCall, Representative McCall out of Texas.
Mike McCall?
Yes. Why would they?
Amy said, well, and due to his looks and voice, they keep mistaking him for Goofy. Melanie said, over 100 million people will be a third of the country. That's called ethnic cleansing, a.k.a. fascism. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if it's entirely ethnic cleansing, right? Because it's there's a bunch of different ethnicities, but I see your point.
Say those things like,
what did McCall say?
I believe he said that we were out of control.
Yep.
And too aggressive, something like that.
Do you find it interesting? So
yeah, I think that's because you were out of control and too aggressive.
McCall is a tool of the intel agencies, I happen to know, and I mean that. And I hope he'll come on and explain how I'm wrong, but he knows I'm not wrong because I've talked to him about it directly. But I have noticed a connection between the people who are like not very loyal to the United States and very into fighting wars on behalf of other nations. They're also very against immigration enforcement. I've noticed that. Have you noticed that?
I have, and some of the people, and I've noticed that over my career, some people that I would think, oh, they're going to be good on immigration.
Sad, there's another John in here with silly takes. I want you to hear like what his take is. Like, who's not good on immigration?
Worst. I remember when Bush was elected, we were rejoicing in the patrol. We thought, oh man, this is going to be great. He was just as bad as Hillary Clinton, or worse.
Of course.
Worse. Again, the two-front war, stabbing you in the back while you're out fighting bad guys. Same thing now, except worse. Even worse than.
But Bush was this very much like this administration. You know,
you're not really out fighting bad guys, though, right, Greg? Like, we saw you at high schools, we saw you in courtrooms, we saw you at workplaces. You weren't going after bad guys. You were going after brown people. Be honest.
Spend all of its time, all of our money, all of their energy fighting a war in the Middle East, and then they're for changing the American
his feet are swinging
population with illegal immigration at the same time. It's so weird. I don't understand the connection. All of it is bad for America. Maybe that's the connection.
Tucker, this is, in my opinion, of course, the greatest issue and greatest threat that our nation has faced since its founding.
Of course.
And I'm including the Civil War in that. I think the Civil War.
Guys, it's the greatest threat. It is the greatest threat to our country. Bigger than the Civil War, which literally split our country in half when we went to war. How many people died in the Civil War? This is bigger than that, though.
War is child's play compared to what we're facing now, because this ends it all. 105 million illegal aliens get amnesty and start voting, which it appears that the Tom Tillises, the McCalls, and the rest of that gang want that. When they start voting, everything's gone. If you think your Second Amendment's good, it's gone. That Second Amendment's gone. Everything's gone.
They're gonna take your guns. There's 105 million of them, guys, and they're gonna take your guns. This is insane. How is there no pushback here? Rex says, so Biden apparently let in 20 million illegals, and Trump takes over, and now we're at 105 million. So I guess Trump sucks on the border. Yeah, I guess so.
Everything that you hold dear, your culture, your values, traditions, everything They don't care. You know, Tucker, they don't care about your history, nor the American history, because that which is, Robert Heinlein said it the best.
Sorry.
He wrote Starship Troopers. That which is given has no value. That which is given has no value.
How'd you get your citizenship? How'd Tucker get his citizenship? How'd I get my citizenship? Most of you, how did you get your citizenship? Did you earn it? Did a lot of hard work there in the womb before you were born?
Just gave them citizenship. They will hate you for that. They'll abhor you for that. They do abhor us for that. You can already see it.
Yeah, that's what immigrants hate us for when we give them citizenship. They're like, you motherfuckers, how dare you give us citizenship? You have to apply for it. You have to like go through the whole process to get citizenship. But once they get it, then they hate you for it. For sure. It's a reasonable take. It's very reasonable. Almost everybody in this, like the overwhelming majority of this country was just given citizenship. So naturally, we must hate our country because we were given citizenship. Or is it only with it's like brown people? Is that what we're saying here?
Entitlement mentality.
Am I stupid? Maybe. You want to explain it to me?
It's not an entitlement. They just hate Americans because we're stupid enough to do it. And when you give someone something like that, they don't care if your granddad died at Iwo Jima. Or
I don't, for the record, care if your granddad died at Iwo Jima. But how did you get your citizenship, Greg?
Great-great-great-granddad at Gettysburg, or maybe you had an ancestor that was a founding father. They could give a damn about that. They don't care.
Who gave the founding? How did the founding fathers get? I guess those are the ones that earned their citizenship, and then everybody else just. So you got your citizenship off of them.
When that ceases to be a reality here in our country, and you're in my country, you're done. Right now, we're at the precipice of the greatest of either solving or bowing down to the greatest threat that we have ever faced since the founding.
It's so stupid. I don't think it works on that many people. You got to be an absolute dipshit to not see through all of that. None of his logic makes sense. I think he got fired because he was too aggressive, but it's also possible that part of the reason he got fired was because he's also remarkably stupid. That's like the logic train that he was on there. None of it follows. And then you got some people in the chat like, this is actually making making a lot of sense. Talk about one of the other things that has really hurt Americans that we don't talk about enough. This is Caitlin Cash. She's a patient advocate, former Republican, I believe Trump voter in Texas. Here she is testifying in front of Congress of how the restrictive abortion bans in states like Texas have impacted her life and the lives of many other women in this country. We still live in a country where women are second-class citizens, like it or not. You can admit that, or you can not admit that, but it's reality. There are no restrictions against my health. I can basically do whatever the fuck I want, and the state isn't going to step in and do anything. But for women, they apparently need men in red states to make the decisions for their bodies.
My first
trigger warning here, by the way. This is it's pretty tough to listen to.
pregnancy was fairly textbook. So when I started trying again for a second baby, never in my wildest dreams did I think it would bring me here. I found out I was pregnant with my second pregnancy in July of 2021. All of my prenatal appointments had been fine. I went in to my end of first trimester scan with no concerns, and I left with a referral to a specialist. At that appointment, we found out that our baby had a lethal genetic diagnosis affecting bone development.
Dope. Ramanuto, it says, exactly, we don't like baby killers like you people are baby killers. All right, just listen to this. And when we're done with this, Ramanuto, I want you to call her a baby killer.
Soon, my baby's bones would begin to break in utero. Even at the slightest movement, like bending down to pick up my then 3-year-old son.
I love it. I love what you say. Yeah, terminating a pregnancy is killing a baby. No other way to look at it. Cool. Listen to this.
At birth, his rib cage would be too small to support lung function, and we were told that he would suffocate at his first breath without extreme medical intervention. That diagnosis came 25 days after Texas's SB 8 went into effect. Because of that timing, my doctor was silenced. SB 8 turned every Texan into a potential bounty hunter. Any private citizen could sue anyone who aided and abetted an abortion. That resulted in an appointment where I was told that my baby was going to die, and my doctor could not give me the dignity of explaining all of my options. We could talk about my right as a mother to not put my baby on life support after birth, but we couldn't talk about removing the only life support my baby had ever known, my body. At the end of the appointment, I was handed a printout of my medical records, and I was advised—
Why is it these men who fight against immigration are married to immigrants? Trump, Vance, Bongino? Fair question. I didn't know that about Bongino.
to seek a second opinion, but outside of Texas. As a grieving mother, instead of being able to focus on processing the loss of the future that I had been dreaming of from the minute the test turned positive, I was on my bathroom floor, catching my breath between crying and throwing up, Googling clinics. My husband went to buy a printer so we could print and scan waiting period consent forms from home because we were too afraid to use a public printer. 10 days later, I had the privilege to board a plane. I walked past protesters at the clinic who called me a murderer, and I said goodbye to my baby in a room alone with a nurse and a doctor that I'd just met that morning. A few days later, I flew home, making sure to get up frequently enough to avoid blood clots and hoping a super maxi pad would be enough to prevent me from bleeding on the seat. My husband and I were grieving, but we desperately wanted to grow our family. A few months later, I was pregnant again, but my third and fourth pregnancies ended in miscarriage. 9 weeks into my third pregnancy, after clinging to the denial and bleeding at home for 5 days, I finally went to the OB to confirm that I was losing this baby too. After finding no heartbeat, my doctor confirmed that I needed medication, the same medication that is used in medical abortions. My prescription was challenged, and I was treated like an addict looking for drugs instead of a mother losing her child. I was finally able to obtain the medication I needed through an online pharmacy and took it a few days later. My husband and I then chose IVF. We started injections the September after Dobbs was decided. And in case IVF wasn't stressful enough, every appointment ended with my doctor and I deciding if she felt comfortable proceeding, as she navigated the growing uncertainty around how IVF intersects with abortion restrictions. 11 months later, we finally welcomed our second child, the result of my fourth pregnancy in less than 2 years. As I lay there holding my baby on my chest, my doctor informed me that my placenta was not delivering. I needed a D&C, a procedure used to clear tissue from the uterus. And yes, it is also used in abortions. And I needed it quickly. 50 minutes after my daughter's birth, I started violently throwing up and shaking, still in the delivery room, waiting to go to the OR. When they finally took me back, I remember rushing and shouting. I lost consciousness as I went into hemorrhagic shock. My records indicate that we were finally able to start my procedure 1 hour and 59 minutes after my daughter's birth. When I woke up, I had lost half of my blood, and I was told that I'm lucky I still had my uterus. Instead of spending my daughter's first night in the world with her, I was in an ICU bed while a nurse cared for my baby 3 floors away. After attempting to get answers on what had gone wrong, a hospital social worker listened to my account. When I got to the part about the D&C, she interrupted and plainly stated, "Well, we don't do those procedures anymore." That one sentence said everything. This delay wasn't chaos, it was policy. You do not know the healthcare you need until you need it. You can be against abortion for yourself. You can never choose it. But you cannot restrict access to a category of medical care without consequences that reach every pregnant person in this country. Restricting healthcare often means that the medication and equipment isn't readily available or needs administrative approval, delaying care with deadly or life-altering impacts. Reproductive healthcare is a continuum, and the government should not be able to decide what parts of that care you can access. When politicians get to decide what healthcare is moral and immoral, every woman you have ever loved is put at risk. These states' bans are forcing unimaginable pain and pushing hundreds of thousands of women into impossible situations they never saw coming. Trust me, I never saw it either.
So what happens when you force your beliefs, your religious beliefs, or your personal beliefs about other people's medical care into law, and you do it haphazardly? Don't try to turn this into something that's not. Well, what is that? What was that then, Ramanudo? What was that? She didn't have access to the care that she desperately needed because of these bans. What do you mean don't turn it into something that it's not? I know that you don't want it to be about that. And I can even for those who may be just think that all abortion is murder or whatever, you're free to have that opinion. It's not your opinion that I have an issue with. It's the real world consequences that I have an opinion, or that I have an issue with. The real world consequences of this is people can die. Doctors are confused as to what they can and can't do. Like doctors, do I save this person's life and risk my career? I don't even know what you watch. Some of you guys are so sick. You're like, calling murder of an unborn child medical care. That's not what any of this was about. And that's the problem I think that we do have, is that there's so many of you who are unwilling to have a nuanced conversation about healthcare options. You're willing to just throw out blanket bans and people die. People lose their children, they lose their mothers, they lose their ability to have children in the future. They go into extreme medical debt. The repercussions of this are everywhere. And you, mostly men, almost exclusively angry men here. The angry men that we have here generally fall into the category of the most dangerous people in this country, the most dangerous people specifically towards children in this country. You're always the ones that are the loudest. You can see the tone of some of these men. Check those internet histories. To everyone that's upset right now, you're not going to admit this. I know that none of you are going to admit this. But we both know that you call women bitches. We both know that. We both know what your porn history looks like. It's a lot. You watch it a lot. Probably some stuff that you constantly have to delete. I bet you use a lot of incognito tabs. And again, you're not going to admit any of this. It's true, though. And you're sitting there by yourself on your phone and you're listening to me. And the reality is, you and I both know what I'm saying about you is true. And you're projecting this on women because you yourself are sick. And the way that instead of addressing your own sickness and addressing your own problems, you project that onto women. And you try and be a knight in shining armor. And I'm here for the children. No, you're not. You're not. You can't vote for this administration and be for the children. You can't vote Republican and be for the children. You offer no protections to children. All your party has done since Trump took in office is cut funding for children. Cut funding for mothers. Cut funding for poor children and poor mothers. It's consistent attacks. Every time we try and give medical care and provide access to seeing a doctor, you go, I don't want to pay for anybody else's insurance. We just don't want to hear it from any of you. Nobody thinks that you're serious about any of this. Every issue you claim to care about, one, you don't know anything about, and two, it's just a projection of what you're covering up inside of yourself. So we don't care. Nobody here takes you seriously, and you have a very extreme minority view. The fact that anybody can watch that video and then talk about abortion is murder, you missed the whole thing. You didn't watch any of it. And that's how I know who you are. That's how I know what you're thinking. Because all you heard was murder, and you saw a woman speaking. You heard abortion, you saw a woman speaking, and you're like, oh, she's a murderer. You didn't listen to anything that she just said. This could be your mom. This could be your sister. I pray to God none of you who are commenting have wives. I pray to God that's true. I hope you're single. This level of rage is tough. All right. Speaking of abusive people who work in the GOP, this is Max Miller. Rare chance that somebody actually got to interview Max Miller, and he did what all predators do: deflect.
Real quick, to be very frank, look, I was a part of that family for a very long time. There are certain things that he would like me to remain quiet about, and I respectfully have, and I always will intend to do that because that's not my business to share. but it's politically motivated.
That was an exchange between me, Congressman Max Miller, and his attorneys after an hours-long hearing between him and his ex-wife, Emily Moreno. Initially, Congressman Max Miller said that he did not want to do any interviews.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Max Miller, this is Representative Max Miller. It's Bernie Moreno's former son-in-law. I don't know if they're still legally married. He's been accused of dumping hot water on his wife's hand, like boiling water, holding a gun to her head, breaking the clavicle of his child, and being just extremely abusive. And the GOP is mum about it. Bernie Moreno says these things are true, and Max Miller keeps insinuating that Bernie Moreno's gay.
The press, and instead directed us to his attorney. But in the midst of talking to his attorney, Max Miller intervened.
Why is he trying to do it? Because he hates Max and he wants to destroy Max. That's why.
It would be bad for his own party.
Well, look, have you ever heard of Bernie Moreno having any involvement in this case until the press started saying to him, "Hey, Mr. Moreno, why aren't you? Why aren't you making any statements about this?"
Right, correct.
I mean, your daughter's claiming she was abused for years. Why aren't you? And he finally comes out of the woodwork and makes nasty statements about Max. So he has to politically try to destroy him now to save his own face and his own career.
Before this conversation with Congressman Miller,
Stella said, "I was pro-life and I'm pro-choice now, and if any of my friends would need an abortion, I would offer to pay and ask if they need a hand to hold." I love that. Like, you are free to hold whatever position you want. Free to do that. But pro-choice, like, I'll never understand the freedom-loving patriots that are like, we need freedom. And then they're like, but we need to make decisions for women regarding something that's extremely complicated.
and his attorneys, I was sitting in courtroom 1B of Cuyahoga County, Cleveland, Ohio Family Court. It was an hours-long hearing, supposed to be over something pretty simple, a possible restraining order between Emily Moreno's counsel and Max Miller. And at the end of the day, the parties came to an agreement in which neither Emily or Max will communicate with the other person's counsel outside of court hearings. Also in the courtroom was Senator Bernie Moreno. I spoke to him very briefly. He told me that this whole process has been very emotionally taxing on his daughter, and he showed up to be there for her. But really what today showed me is that the animosity between these two families is intense and is continuing. And it's a dynamic in which Congressman Miller is a Republican representing Ohio. Senator Moreno is a Republican representing Ohio. But at the same time, these two Republicans are in the midst of a very hairy custody case of a 2-year-old daughter. And Emily, Senator Moreno's daughter, has accused her ex-husband, Max Miller, of doing some pretty serious things, such as holding a gun to her head and shoving her against a wall and throwing boiling hot water at her.
Republicans, just answer the question. I know that we're busy smearing women currently and attacking me, but do you want to explain why this guy's still on the ballot? Want to give me any reason why this is still who you think Ohio Republicans are choosing to represent them? You had a chance to get rid of him. We've known about these accusations for a long time. There's clearly evidence. Why didn't we primary and beat him in a primary?
Miller denies these claims and says that Senator Moreno and his daughter are out to get him politically.
Great. I'm just wondering why you think Republicans voted for him. I hope if you're in Ohio, you didn't vote for him. Good for you. But I'm just, how does that happen? Why does the Republican Party keep, we know, you guys knew about Roy Moore. Voted for him. Knew about Matt Gaetz. Voted for him. Know about Max Miller. Voted for him. Know about Corey Mills. Voted for him. Is there a line? Is there anything a Republican man can do to a woman or child that makes them disqualified? Or is it just whatever they do is fine as long as they love Trump?
Miller did not expand on what this dirt he has is. He said he's keeping it private for now.
Knew about Trump. Knew about Kavanaugh. Yeah. Knew about Pete Hegseth.
Respect for the Moreno family, but it was one instance of a very visible animosity between the two powerful Ohio Republican families. I've been reporting on this story for months. You can read about it at motherjones.com.
All right, Brittany says MAGA doesn't care if women die. No. This is all just fake outrage. And all the people that are in here like, I care about women, I advocate for women or for the unborn. Do you? What do you do? Go to YouTube threads? I don't think you do. I don't think you advocate for that. There's ways to advocate for this. For example, the testimony that we gave, let's just say that you are, that you think abortion is murder. Let's just say that you hold that stance. You go and you watch that 5-minute testimony. Obviously, that person tried 4 different times to have a child and carry that child to term. 4 different times, including IVF, which is crazy expensive. And her life was put in danger over and over and over again because Texas wasn't careful with how they rolled out the abortion bans. And it put her life in jeopardy. She was desperate to have a baby. She wasn't trying to end her pregnancy 4 different times. And you could sit there and watch that, and you come to the conclusion at the end of, abortion's murder. Obviously, like, you can hold that position and still protect women, but you're not doing it, which makes me think that you're not actually about protecting women or the unborn. You just want to like stand. You just want to stand on like this specific tenet of your party, and that's why I don't think you're legitimately about women or children, and that's why I have real questions about what your internet history looks like or the way that you treat women. You can't do you can't say that I'm pro-life and then let women die, or in her case, almost die. Just because you like Republicans didn't do enough work to write a carefully worded bill. I'm not like I'm pro-choice. I think it's a woman's right to choose. I don't support restrictions. I don't think the government should be involved in this at all. But if I was pro-life or pro or anti-abortion, and I wanted to make sure that abortions weren't happening, like elective abortions weren't happening, I would write legislation very carefully that only got rid of elective abortions. But you guys didn't do that, and you're not advocating that we fix that problem. So I don't think you can be considered pro-life. You're simply anti-abortion and anti-woman. So until you do that, respectfully, nobody gives a shit. It's also why you're struggling right now. And I hope that you figure it out someday, but until you figure it out, please keep talking and please keep presenting that as a majority view, because we can get some other shit done with you guys doing that. Okay. I'm going to lose my voice today, I think. Let's go here. I want to talk about this administration and their propaganda machine. You remember the Pentagon got rid of all the press. And they basically now have a press pool at the Pentagon that is full of sycophants, people that they can direct what to say. The White House has done similar things with the press pool there, including people that will come up and just ask like fluffy questions. Now we got a new story breaking, and Adam Kinzinger lays this out most succinctly, which is why I'm showing this video. I'm not a huge Adam Kinzinger fan. But the Pentagon was paying an influencer. Her name, I forget what her actual name is, and what was her Twitter handle? I looked this up earlier. Got what it's a weird Twitter handle. Data Republican. Turns out that this person, who's supposed to be an independent journalist covering the Pentagon, was being paid by the Pentagon to be a journalist, and also doesn't seem to understand like FOIA requests and what information is allowed to be dispersed and what isn't. Also doesn't seem to know what treason is. And what happened is she got really scared, and she went to Twitter and said that this administration was trying to get her to commit treason, which they weren't. And it exposed that the Pentagon is paying influencers to do their messaging.
You're going to like this one. So have you guys been following the story of Data Republican? It feels like a child thing, but we're going to say it anyway because this stuff happens and it's important nowadays. So Data Republican is a...
Robert, what do you want to say? Sorry, we'll just stop this for a second. Keep going, Robert. What's your big issue with me? Is Robert 3170? Is that Rob Knorr? Are you on a burner? Content you're speaking about in your base take on societies while your channel is struggling. 23,000 subscribers is laughable. Sure, I think 23,000 subscribers is pretty good. I think I have 29,000, and you should probably just look that up. I'm pretty sure it's Rob Noor. And I think Rob's channel's the one. This person showed up after I debated Rob Noor. It just happens to be the same name. And I think that channel is struggling a little bit. 26,000. Your last live stream got how many views? 7,500. Let's not talk about struggling. Should we? Should we not talk about struggling? 7,500, which is great. Like that's actually pretty respectable. But like let's not compare numbers like that, right?
Person on X, she became famous during Doge, supposedly exposing stuff and corruption. I've never heard of her until about a week ago. But anyway, she was handed a leak by the Undersecretary of State, Sarah Rogers, who sent her a message.
It's not 23,000 paying subscribers. That would be sweet. There is not 23. That's just total subscribers on YouTube.
Saying, hey, I've got this cool information and you can put it out on your X and get credit for it. It's a leak, right? A controlled leak. Anyway, this data Republican lady is like freaking out because she thought that she was being set up to reveal classified information and go to jail. She wasn't, by the way. All the redactions were normal, X, Y, and Z. Sarah Rogers, by the way, the undersecretary, has a very spotty background, but we'll get to that some other time. Anyway, data Republican then posts all over X that she...
We go with that. We go with the Pentagon paying journalists to say what they want them to say. We're going to pretend this isn't like an authoritarian regime. You guys always talk about like propaganda and the deep state. You sure you're not the deep state?
He's being set up. Long and the short of it, this Sarah Rogers comes out and says, no, it was me. You're doing this all wrong. Everything's legal. It is. But in this process, we find out that Data Republican is a special government employee hired by the Pentagon in July. Now, it took a lot of getting and asking.
The reason they get hired as a special government employee is that way they can still make money with their other job for up to like, I think it's 6 months or a year. I can't remember the total amount. But they hire people as a special government employee so that they don't have to, they can keep making money and then they don't have to file financial disclosures. Kind of what they did with Elon. When Elon's time ran out, if he was going to stay at Doge, he had to file financial disclosures. So he was out. They've done a lot of that with this. And this has always happened, but I don't know of any other time where the Pentagon was paying influencers
to get that information that she is being paid by the federal government. Data Republican, paid by the federal government as a special government employee, and they refuse to answer what it is that she does. Now, here's my suggestion, because I think this is pretty accurate. The Pentagon is using your tax dollars to hire influencers on X to put out partisan talking points.
When I say authoritarian, what do I mean? I mean that they try and push the authority and the powers into the hands of one person. Or in this case, into one branch of the government, which is the executive branch. And there's never been an administration who has tried to force so much power into the executive branch. I'm going to have evidence of this later, but like Republicans in Congress have decided, and in the House have decided that the executive branch also owns the House. That's what I mean by authoritarian. Authoritarian meaning like your party is the person. Your party is not ideas. It is not policy. The party is the person. Before you say I'm crazy for this, before you argue this, just know that in like 20 minutes, I'm going to have multiple clips of Republicans saying Donald Trump is the policy. Donald Trump is the party. So like, don't go hard on this one. Just, I know, like out of respect, I'm trying to make you not look dumb. Don't argue this one right now. Wait until those videos or you're going to look silly.
It is the biggest violation of the Hatch Act, of the intention of taxpayer money that I can ever think of. Now, my question is, how many more people that are blue check marks on X that are putting out information on behalf of the federal government and Donald Trump and the Republican Party, partisan, that are actually special government employees being paid by your tax dollars? This is a question that needs answered, and we can't let this go. The corruption in this administration is...
That part I disagree with. Like, we can let this go. Everybody knows the answer to this question. The reason that the Pentagon is paying influencers is because they need to lie. The reason that we can let it go is because they're not going to do a fucking thing about it. What are we going to do? Appeal to the Attorney General? What are we appeal to Congress? Nah, we don't need to do anything about this until after the midterms, in which case then we can act on it. But this is thing like 50 fucking thousand. This isn't even that important. She wasn't even that influential. This is just like MAGA being dumb. And it's showing they're wasting money on this too. Like, how many of you guys have ever heard of data? What is it, data conservative or data Republican? Is that what it is? I can't even remember what it was. Yeah, data Republican. You never heard of them. We got. I looked. There's like. Let me pull up the Twitter profile here. A ton of followers. 950,000 followers. 22 paid subscriptions. What if, I don't even know what they're talking about here. Now we're talking about like distilleries. I never heard of this person. It's a waste of money. What about that? What about that waste, fraud, and abuse?
Staggering. This is just another piece of that corruption. Paying an influencer to put out partisan propaganda by the federal government and then refusing to say what they're doing. In any other administration, this would be the biggest scandal of the century.
I don't know about that, Adam Kinzinger, and that's why I don't like Adam Kinzinger very much. He's a little too hyperbolic for my liking. This is not even close. There's been bigger scandals by every president, but this is every administration, but this one is no surprise. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunding. Rob, while you're here, appreciate it. I am a savior. Thank you. While you're here, it's just a good reminder, we are crowdfunded. And so if you guys want to help us knock out that daily gift goal, which Rob will then insult here, you can use Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chats. A reminder on TikTok, if you want to keep us up, make sure you're gifting. And I think we've only had the one flag from TikTok today. So good job over there on TikTok. Thank you guys very much. We do rely on your on your donations to keep the lights on over here. Ad revenue's tough when you're critical of Israel and critical of the ultra wealthy. Nobody really wants to pay for you to say we should tax rich people more and give health insurance to everybody, and we should probably stop funding a genocide. Then the advertiser's like, we don't want to give you any money. So thank you guys in advance for helping us knock out that gift goal and your continued support. This is a crazy story. This is another story that I expect Nick Shirley to cover this in about a year, and I expect the same dipshits that are here now to come back a year from now and be like, oh, did you see what Nick Shirley covered? And this will just be one more time that Minnesota actually does the right thing, that Minnesota opens an investigation and finds fraud, and the Republicans find out about it a year later after the investigation is done, and then Nick Shirley will show up in Minnesota and be like, look what they did. But this is a story about Normandale Community College, which if you guys are fans of the movie Hoosiers, that name might ring a bell to you. I was hoping this was in Indiana, but it's not. Apparently, nearly a third of the applications at Normandale Community College are fraudulent, and that probably seems weird until you realize why they're fraudulent.
Level of fraud targeting the largest community college in Minnesota. Investigative reporter Eric Rasmussen first told you about ghost students a year ago, and now, Eric, you've learned they could be responsible for nearly a third of all applications to Normandale Community College in Bloomington.
It's incredible, Lindsay. We're talking about thousands of applications filed using stolen identities, looking to steal taxpayer money in the form of student loans. Now, Normandale and Minnesota State say they're stepping up the fight to stop it. But one victim is using his own high-tech skills to call out the system. This is the website for Normandale Community College. But change 3 little letters, and it takes you to an alternate universe and a fake state college system.
This could happen to anyone.
Created entirely by Jacob Rosenbacher.
This is a warning to the public, right? Like, you have to be careful.
The 32-year-old is a real person, but the Jacob Rosenbacher who enrolled at Normandale is not.
My credit dropped 168 points overnight.
Rosenbacher's name taken by a ghost student. Fraudsters using stolen identity.
These MAGA bots are wild today. It's crazy. What are you guys on today? I think we figured out. You remember yesterday we were talking about like how Trump isn't spending any of the money, how like Republicans aren't using any of their war chest. I think we're figuring out where they're spending their money now. It's on bots to come in and just like not talk about anything important to politics.
To enroll online and steal financial aid.
Long story short, I saw a loan was new from the Department of Education. I learned where it began at Normandale Community College.
For the record, we are getting slammed with bots today, and the way you can tell is I can see like the viewer count on YouTube, and I'm on Streamlabs, so it doesn't refresh in the same way. But at one point, it went from 1,400 to 600, then it went from 600 to 1,100. Like, there's clearly bots out and about. I imagine that's what's happening. The other thing that they do, and mods, be careful with this. Sometimes they will flood your channel. I don't know if I should say this or not, but you guys know Shane. I forget Shane's last name. He explained how this gets done, and I know that there's some channels on TikTok that got taken down. But if you flood them with a bunch of accounts really quick, it looks like you're faking your engagement. And because of that, and because of ad revenue, YouTube or TikTok or Twitch will take you down sometimes because it looks like you're faking your engagement. So it's a way actually pretty cheaply to get somebody's account taken down. Morris, that's right.
But when this tech security expert from Chicago struggled to get a response from the school,
I own Normandale.net. I own NormandaleCommunityCollege.com.
he bought up website names similar to the real Normandale.edu and used this fake site to tell his story.
I was looking for a faster response. I was looking for them to take it seriously.
Have you seen the website?
I have seen the website.
Do you take issue with anything he's putting out there?
I think that certainly.
Thank you, Nate. Anyone who disagrees has been. How can you defend fraud? We're not defending fraud. We're showing how fraud was exposed. This is exactly what happened with the Medicare fraud in Minnesota. I covered it. It was a real story. A year later, Nick Shirley covered it. Then the same people came into my live and were like, "You don't care about fraud." And we're like, "No, we already covered this. We covered it a year ago. This is fraud." It also is a problem because part of the reason that our costs get so expensive for college, and this is a smaller portion of it, but like fraud increases the price of college, right? So people are going in, they're registering for class, they're using stolen identities, they apply for student aid. They get that student aid using stolen identities. That aid gets to them. It never goes to the college. They take it, and it winds up on somebody's credit report. And that's how exactly here they figured it out. And Minnesota, run by Democrats, caught this. As you missed at the beginning, they were made aware of this a year ago. And now they're fighting back on this. But what this story is about is how the federal government isn't doing anything about it.
Folks are going to tell a story through their perspective and their experience, and we're going to do the same, right?
When we sat down with Normandale's VP of Student Affairs to ask about Rosenbacher's case, she shared some stunning information about the extent of the ghost student problem at this one community college.
I think it first hit us in 2023.
Information not made public until now.
We've had about 29,000 potentially fraudulent applications that we've processed. We were seeing probably 42% of our applications or so being fraudulent, and now we're down to about 31%.
That's a good question. The real question is actually, why doesn't Trump care about it? Well, he may not know, and he hires incompetent people. You really think Linda McMahon is going to figure this out? Linda McMahon is too busy like blaming teachers for every problem that we have and saying we should just have charter schools.
Huge. Am I misinterpreting that?
No, you're not.
Nearly a third of all applications to this school potentially filled out and sent in by fraudsters. Administrators insist many are flagged and thrown out before ghost students can steal taxpayer money, but they can't be sure of how.
Concept, big $20 for MAGA Dad's favorite effer. Thank you. And just a reminder, MAGA, if you're here and your dad is lonely, you can pay me anywhere between $20 and $100, and I will complete on them.
Many others got through until real victims come forward.
And what Normandale, in my view, didn't do is they didn't check my identity against anything.
Rosenbacher says the dead giveaway for his ghost should have been this warning notification sent at the end of the semester. Despite a GPA of 0.0, Normandale wrote, "We believe you can do this, and we're here to help you succeed." I mean, should something like this be a red flag?
We do have students that end up stopping out that are real students.
With a
and then
zero
coming back,
across
and
the
then
board?
they'll withdraw or they'll not perform, and then and so at some point there will be outreach, right?
Rosenbacher says someone still got a $9,000 loan in his name. So your first time to Normandale?
It is my first time in Normandale.
Now he says he hopes his fictional website will be a cybersecurity reality check for the school before more damage is done.
Think about the most simple attack. What if I emailed you from normandale.net and I said, hey, it's your teacher? That's really scary. Part of the reason I bought the domain is, please don't let anyone else do that. If someone wants to reach out to me from Normandale, I will happily give them the domain. I want nothing to do with this.
No word yet about what's going to happen with Rosenbacher's website, but we do know more help is on the way. I sat down again recently with the Min-State Chief of Information Security to learn.
They are. Channel 5 is the best in Minnesota. That's good to hear. I mean, it's a comprehensive investigation.
To fight enrollment fraud, and Lindsay, that's just part of what we're putting.
No, Thomas, we're not blaming Trump for this. Somebody asked why the Trump administration is. Oh, you haven't heard about this, right? If this was a big issue, obviously they would address it. Somebody just asked why they're not doing anything about it, and I guessed that it's because they're incompetent. I gave you a bone. I could have said it was because they wanted the fraud. I threw you a bone and said incompetence. Could be because they don't care. Could be because they like it. I don't know. But my best guess is they're just incompetent. And that's what happens when you hire a bunch of people. Like Linda McMahon shouldn't be over the Department of Education. She literally has no qualifications. She has no clue what she's doing. But you guys, why is she in charge of the Department of Education? Because she gave Trump money and she loves Trump. And that's all it really takes. Amy Lynn said Biden's administration and Tim Walz's administration found fraud. Trump pardons those convicted, so victims, including U.S. taxpayers, get $0 of their money back. Facts, Amy Lynn. You don't get to say we care about fraud and then ignore Trump pardoning fraudsters.
Together for another report coming up tomorrow night.
Those numbers are staggering. Is anything being done to get taxpayer money back once it's been stolen?
There are things being done. They tell me it's complicated. If it's federal aid, Min-State schools could be on the hook to pay that money back to Washington. But out of those thousands of suspicious applications flagged at Normandale, the college tells me only about 40 people have filed formal appeals to say that they were victims of identity theft.
All right. Well, we'll follow you tomorrow.
I don't know how often people. I check my credit report pretty often. I don't know how often people do that, but I mean, it's entirely possible that people could go years without knowing that their identity was stolen and used to apply for student aid. It absolutely happened. Ray, shut up. Stop saying Democratic plantation. It's like your 80th time. What is going on? You guys are crazy today. I can't, I almost just want to sit and watch the chat. What's going on with you guys today? We are having some big fucking feelings. What fraud did Trump do? You don't know about his fraud case? You don't know about his civil fraud case? Are you unaware of that? You should look that up. You should look up Trump's civil fraud case. The CEO of his company went to prison. You remember that? It was just radical judges and a weaponized justice system. Yeah, we know. You know, when Trump gets convicted, when Trump does fraud, it's not fraud. How about the two crypto pump and dumps? Is that fraud? Actively participating in Ponzi schemes? How about that? Abortion got him foaming at the mouth. Yeah, it always does. Don't check our internet history, but we care a lot about children. Sure you do. All right, moving on. Remember Victor Marx? He's who the GOP put up for governor in Colorado, despite it being painfully obvious that his entire work history was entirely made up. He's the one that kept saying that he had rescued like 40,000 people, that he'd flown in, like he was special forces, but nobody could confirm that he was special forces. And now it turns out that maybe he's just running in Colorado for governor to make a bunch of money because he knows he's not going to win.
One is selling access to the Republican candidate for governor. $1,300 gets you a meeting with Victor Marx.
All right, that alone should be disqualifying. It won't be. Republicans that are in the chat will refuse to talk about this story that we're covering right now and instead try and talk about something else. But selling access to a candidate for $1,300 is illegal. Do I still debate MAGA? I try to, but they won't actually come up and talk. Good reminder, MAGA, if you want to talk to me, you can message Jen. That's JENNDUBB1. You can message her on Discord, and she will bring you up here, and you can debate me live.
And some campaign merchandise kicked in. We've been following the money to an out-of-state company that hides who owns it, a company that we've now learned is owned by Victor Marx. His campaign says the purchases support the campaign's efforts. They have not yet answered our questions about whether Victor Marx himself is pocketing his supporters' money.
Hundreds of thousands.
It won't matter if he does. It will not matter. Steve Bannon pretended he was going to build a wall, got millions of dollars in donations, stole the money, and Trump pardoned him. They will not, they don't care. Stealing from MAGA is fine. MAGA doesn't care. They're just like, that's just part of it. That's what makes Trump so great. That's what makes all these MAGA people so great, is they just flat out steal from the people who donate to them. Trump has been stealing from MAGA for years. He has a very small fine print. People don't even understand. They go in and they make a donation and they don't realize that it sets up recurring donations, and those are not refundable. There's like thousands of complaints against Donald Trump's, what is it, MAGA PAC, whatever, I forget what it's called. America First PAC, maybe. From setting people up on auto drafts. Nobody's going to care. You don't care. If any Democrat did that, it would be all the bots and all MAGA would talk about all day, every day. They will not care about this, so let's just ignore them for now. But this is a big deal.
Thousands of people around the nation saying, I'm going to send a donation. I'm going to support the campaign.
Every candidate asks for money. Republican gubernatorial candidate Victor Marx is just very particular about where it goes.
Another way people can support us is go to Victor2026merch.com.
Amy said, prove you're not a bot. Discord at GenDub1. Thank you, Amy.
They order merchandise. There's no limit on that.
That's right.
They can order as much as they want. That will really help us.
Marx brushes off other Republicans, calling him a con man and a grifter. He suggests his supporters can make unlimited purchases from his merchandise store, where they sell meetings with Marx for $1,300. His campaign said, quote, every purchase helps spread the message across Colorado and supports the campaign's grassroots efforts.
This is just patently illegal. Like, this is patently something that can't happen.
When campaign finance attorneys like Mario Nicholas told us that would be obviously illegal, Marx's attorney said the money wasn't going to the campaign, where it'd be subject to...
Put all MAGA back in school. I think a lot of them are court-ordered not to be close to schools. I don't know if we can send them back.
Legal limits, but they wouldn't say where the money's going.
What I've been authorized to say is that, look, for a period of time, the campaign allowed a third party, right, to sell its merchandise.
The Marx merchandise store emails now carry a disclaimer, paid for by Not Shook LLC. No such company registered in Colorado. We found Not Shook LLC registered in Wyoming, where its owners can remain anonymous. And that's where the Marx merch money trail would have gone cold.
Why would his campaign be registered, or why would they be registered in Wyoming for the merch here? He's not from Wyoming. Because it's anonymous. Except they always screw up. They always screw up.
If not for an obscure campaign finance filing in Colorado, where Not Shook LLC paid the Marx campaign $5,000 for a logo licensing fee. Colorado campaign finance law requires an LLC making a contribution to identify its owner, also called a member. And there it is, Victor Marx himself.
Victor Marx.
Whoops, is he right there in yellow? Whoops. Just grifting. If you want to make money right now, just join MAGA. Run for office, become a MAGA content creator. You'll make a fortune. MAGA is so desperate for anything at this point that they'll pay anybody significant amounts of money to just give them confirmation bias.
Has been called the con man before, and this is just one more con that he's playing on people.
He's running in Colorado.
I think that the problem is he's going to get caught doing it.
Months ago, the Marx campaign bragged its merchandise operation brought in almost $200,000 so far. The campaign has not responded to our latest questions about the anonymous out-of-state company that leads back to Victor Marx, and our questions about whether Marx is lining his own pockets with his supporters' money.
There we go. You don't always agree with me, Ak? How dare you? How fucking dare you not always agree with me? That is true. Those are the ones that hurt the most when you guys come after me. Dustin said, Rob Noor is a sniveling turd chewer. Eat a D, Rob. Natalie said, my company, NeuroGuard Plus, is growing. We help prevent concussions with a simple patented mouth guard. If your child plays sports, or if you do, you should be wearing one. Fuck. I have to message you back, Natalie. I'm sorry. Give it NeuroGuard, NeuroGuard plus.com. Your kid plays sports. Look them up. You should be wearing one. Protect your kid's brains. You don't want your kid to wind up like me. A bunch of concussions. Okay. Let's go here. Finally got a grand jury to talk about this case in Florida. Remember we talked about this, the Hope, Florida, where they were funneling Medicare money into Hope, Florida, which was going to pay for different campaigns. The state grand jury found that the DeSantis administration misappropriated taxpayer money when it diverted $10 million from a Medicaid settlement. I said Medicare, Medicaid, into the Hope Florida Foundation, arguing the transfer is part of a sophisticated scheme to fund political activities. The grand jury report said the money, which was supposed to be used to provide health insurance for poor children, was instead hastily passed through multiple organizations before eventually landing in the bank accounts of 2 political action committees and the Republican Party of Florida. What are you doing with that Medicaid money, Republicans? Oh, we got to use it for elections. Those funds were then used in 2024 to do what? To defeat Amendment 3, the citizen initiative to legalize marijuana in Florida. Is that what Medicaid money's for? I'd call that fraud. Despite our finding that the money was misappropriated, we find insufficient evidence to charge anyone criminally. Nobody will take responsibility for deciding the $10 million of taxpayer money would go to Hope, Florida, or had any memory of who made it. We recognize that this would be an impediment to criminal prosecution, the report noted. While we can't prove who's responsible, we can plainly see that the taxpayer money was misused for political purposes, and we would like to see changes made to prevent this from happening again. Nobody will be held accountable. Awesome. That's Florida for you, baby. Where's Nick Squirrely on that one? He's not going to talk about that. He's got other things to do. Angie Nixon, however, decided to use this and take shots at Ashley Moody. This is this Senate campaign is going to be closer than we think. I imagine Ashley Moody wins. She is finishing out Marco Rubio's term and then running for re-election here. But if I was in Florida, I'd have real questions about and I was a Republican. I'd have real questions at how these people keep getting in office. The person running for governor is involved in multiple fraud cases. Senator Rick Scott is the biggest Medicare fraudster in the history of your state. Ron DeSantis now it's confirmed that his administration was misappropriating funds. Is that the rule in Florida? You can't get elected unless you're stealing from the taxpayers? Is that the rule?
As a matter of fact, she stole.
This is only coming out of my left headphone. Sorry. So if you can't hear it, switch to the left side or turn on speaker.
As a matter of fact, she stole $10 million, and it just came out today. She stole $10 million from medically needy kids in order to defeat 2 citizen-led ballot initiatives that you all placed on the ballot that would have allowed you all to have healthier lives. $10 million. Y'all heard me. She allowed $10 million to be stolen that were supposed to go to the most medically needy kids. So has Ashley Moody done anything to benefit your lives? But guess what? I will.
Well, for that same challenge, tell me what Republicans have done in the last year and a half that has benefited your lives. What have they done? What have they done to make things better in America? It seems to me like they just cut taxes for rich people and then helped all their rich friends get more rich. So what it feels like. Again, you're welcome to call in and discuss any of this with me by messaging JenDub1 on Discord, and she'll bring you right up. Also, a quick reminder, we are crowdfunded. If you want to help us knock out our daily gift goal, that would be greatly appreciated. The total left is down in the bottom left corner or the upper left corner, depending on where you are watching today. And we rely on your generosity in order to keep things funded over here and so that Jen doesn't quit, which would be an absolute fucking nightmare if it happened. I want to talk about the midterms coming up and how things are looking. We've looked at the projections. Out of basically, there's like I think 6 or 7 Senate races that are going to determine control of the Senate. All but one of those Democrats are leading right now. The one, and even that one's iffy. The one we'll get to is El Sayed, but we've been going back and forth to Iowa a lot because Iowa for the Republicans is super important. One, because it's a bellwether state. It often gives us a good idea of how the Midwest is going to vote. But two, because Iowa has been hit particularly hard during the Trump administration. So a lot of people are going out talking to Trump supporters. This is a 3-time Trump voter. Sun's out, guns out, Gary here. And he's asked, like, what would you tell Donald Trump?
President Trump promised to bring down prices. You voted for him 3 times. Are you disappointed?
Very disappointed. Very disappointed. Why? Because the prices haven't gone down. I don't know. I'm over it, I think. Over the Trump thing. The Trump wagon, whatever you want to call it.
You could talk directly to the president about the war, about the prices, about the economy. What would you tell him?
Stop the bullshit. Make America great, like you said. That's what I'd say.
Stop the bullshit. Well, Trump heard him loud and clear. Trump listens to the people of Iowa, and he stopped the bullshit, and he used his time yesterday to no more fucking around, no more bullshit. We're only doing important things. We're going to make America great again.
So this is Lake Ontario in Canada and in the United States. But we're going to make a little change. We're going to call it something different than Lake Ontario. We're going to call it Lake America. And all it takes is a good pen and some intelligence.
He's not wrong. It takes some intelligence to be able to use a pen. Takes some. Not a lot. Some. It's the important things that MAGA's fighting for. Let's go to war, all-out war with Canada. For God knows why.
So Lake Ontario, that's gone.
Oh, I crossed it out.
Lake
Look at
America. So now we have a lake, and now we have a Gulf. Because we have the Gulf of America, now we have Lake America, without the of. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy Lake America.
That is so stupid. It's so stupid. That'll fix it. That'll fix the midterms. If that doesn't get you pumped to vote for Trump, I don't know what will. Stop the bullshit. What if I renamed a lake because I'm mad at Canada? Yeah, that's exactly what we were looking for. Look, and Hannity and all the propagandists, they all got the memo. Go out there and try and convince Americans that Canada's the fucking problem. And so they're just doing it. Sean Hannity, he gets paid a lot of money, so I guess whatever. But can you imagine getting that phone call? John, yeah, what's up? We're going to need you to go on an all-out assault on Canada. Like the country? Yeah. What'd they do? We don't really know, but you're going to have to figure out a way to fucking hate them. You're like, all right, I'm on it. Electric Dad said, look at that orange face. That was remarkably orange. More orange than normal. Here's Sean Hannity fighting the good fight.
Come here for health care, even though they have free health care there. Now, in Canada, they rely on this country, the United States, your country, for revenue, for military protection, for oil refineries, for technology, medical, pharmaceutical advancements. And how are we repaid for our friendship and for our kindness? Now, for years before Donald Trump, was president, the only thanks we ever got were massive tariffs. And now we're getting hit with a lot of threats and a lot of anger and a lot of disdain.
The only thing we got was massive tariffs. Well, except for like oil, except for them providing electricity to basically the entire Northeast, except for lumber. Got a lot from them. Got hockey from them. Get a lot from Canada, but apparently they're just being meanies. And by the way, these tariffs that they're talking about, they're all retaliatory. They're just all like Trump slaps a tariff on them and they're like, okay, we'll do it back. And then Republicans go, what? Why doesn't everybody just do what Trump says? Because it hurts them. So why would they? Why would they just agree to this shit?
Any moment, President Trump.
Yeah, exactly. State media. Dance, monkey, dance. Here we go, Sean Hannity. You got it. I'm about to dance.
He attempts to negotiate a free, fair, reciprocal trade deal. Well, this is what happens. Take a look.
Doug Ford also told the Associated Press that if this fight gets worse, the way he put it is everything is on the table, including cutting off electricity from Ontario going into the United States. Do you support that move?
Well, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Upping the price of electricity, we have to get attention because this cannot continue.
Proactively cutting off electricity going into the United States, you would support that move as a measure.
Imagine being outraged as a Fox News viewer or as Sean Hannity of a country retaliating by cutting off power. We kidnapped one president of a country and murdered another one. We invade all the time. We're going to get to Cuba here in a little bit, but like we're just killing people in Cuba. Indiscriminately striking boats in the middle of the ocean. And then we're like, I can't believe that somebody would do something that might hurt Americans. Yeah. Yeah, people, like, what are you going to do? When you have a bully, sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. Canada says, no, you can't just bully us for it. Because if Canada doesn't back down, like, I don't blame them. This sucks for the Canadians. It sucks for us. But if Canada just caves on this every time, then what does that make them? Not sovereign, not independent.
Measure to get the U.S. to the negotiating table.
Well, I think whatever our premier needs to do.
Now, with friends like that, who needs enemies? But it does.
I never am friends with people who retaliate when I do something bad to them. I think you created the enemy, right? When you went after them, you created an enemy. They're just fighting back. This is like if you watch football with a group of people, let's say you're all fans of the same team. I remember watching the NFC Championship one year with a bunch of Seahawks fans, and it was me and my friend were the only 49ers fans there. And I promise you that the Seahawks didn't commit one penalty. Every penalty against the Seahawks was the refs cheating, and every time they didn't call a penalty on the 49ers, it was the refs cheating. That's what this is. Like, this is just a team sport. It's MAGA versus the world. And fine if you're Team America. Fine if you root for America. But this isn't doing us any good. What are we fighting for? Higher taxes? Higher prices on food and on cars and on lumber and on steel and aluminium? Why would we even fight for this? Why is everybody not telling Trump to knock it the fuck off? Why do we want higher prices? Yeah, exactly. You punch a bully in the mouth. That's how you do it. Double fuck the Niners. Oh, jeez. I hate you guys. Why do you always have to hurt my feelings? Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro had a really interesting discussion. This was my favorite. I mean, when you start saying shit like this, you know it's over. You just know that there's nothing left to run on. And once again, Republicans that are here, it's great to have you here. Please tell me what you're running on so we can address it. Please tell me what it is that I'm supposed to vote for. Melanie said, to be clear, Trump in this deal says that the U.S. decides who they can trade with, decide the pricing, and the U.S. gets first access to all resources, even more than their citizens. It's not a deal. It's a takeover. Yeah. And Miss Terry says we have a fucking toddler for a president. Lord help us. True. I feel like my toddler was more rational. Here's Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro trying to spin this.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
What are the Democrats running on? Medicare for all. Getting money out of politics. Ending funding to Israel. Ending the war in Iran. There's 4 things right there that are very popular in this country.
Let's be blunt. Canada has turned into almost a wholly owned subsidiary of the Chinese Communist Party. Vancouver,
Canada's the Chinese Communist Party now. That's what it is. Yeah, I swear to God. They're just owned by the China because they're like, hey, we'll do trade with Canada or with China if the United States doesn't want to do trade. Why wouldn't they do trade with China? They have better products and they're easier to deal with. Why the fuck would you want to deal with America if you can get everything you need from the European Union and China, which it looks like that's what they're going to do. They're just going to cut out the United States.
Beautiful city, great people. I took my destroyer in there. decades and decades ago to support. They had a fleet week, just an amazing sea detail, great people, one of the most beautiful parts of the world.
The Islamic Republic of Canada. They're just mad that Jed York can afford Trailer Park Madams. I think, no disrespect, I believe the sex worker that Jed York was propositioning was a man.
It is big Hong Kong.
Come on, bro. We're the good guys. Yeah, I forgot. We're the good guys.
Now, Hong Kong itself is little Hong Kong. The CCP has totally infiltrated the Canadian business, Canadian government, Canadian culture. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Every time I go to Canada, I'm like, what the fuck? Am I in China? Why does this feel exactly like China? That's how I feel every time I go to Canada. Do we have any Canadians here? Did you know that you are wholly owned by the Chinese Communist Party?
The show that they're a subsidiary, I believe I'm correct on this, that only the CCP and the Canadians are pushing back when President Trump puts these tariffs up. Everybody else works with us because they understand they've been ripping us off for decade after decade after decade. Peter Navarro, your thoughts and observations, sir.
That is exactly right. The only two countries on God's good earth that are retaliating against the United States.
Just want you to hear this again.
That are retaliating against the United States.
Whoops. Retaliating. This is why MAGA doesn't get it, though. This is why they're all like, man, why is Canada doing this? Cuckery is your party. Cuckery is your platform. Cuckery is the expectation. And cuckery is where you're comfortable. Do what they tell you. Say what they tell you to say. Think what they tell you to think. Then when somebody says no thanks, you're like, what?
When we try to get simply fair trade are Communist China and the CCP and Canada. I mean, parse that. You're absolutely right. Vancouver is now big Hong Kong to the little Hong Kong over there. And I like a couple.
Canada is a big Hong Kong now. That's what it is. I mean, fuck, the food might get better in Canada. That'd be all right. Maybe next time I go to Victoria, the food will be better.
Weeks ago, when I introduced my great transshipment scam report, and we were talking a lot about that, one of the problems we got right now is that China is using both Mexico and Canada as launch pads for its transship goods, basically bringing stuff over and sneaking it in on the near zero USMCA tariffs. But this.
Yeah. China's like, there's a workaround. And so they did the workaround. We said, we're gonna slap tariffs on American citizens. And China's like, well, Mexico, can we just send it to you? And then you guys can sell it? And Mexico's like, yeah, we'll make a little money off that. We'll make a little off the top. And then Canada's like, yeah, we'll make a little off the top. And they're like, how dare you? How dare you not be subservient to the United States of America and Donald Trump? I'm going to let this play real quick. I got to grab my drink out of the freezer.
Dispute, so people understand. This started with 338, Section 338 of the Trade Code, which basically says if one country discriminates against us, then we are allowed to retaliate, reciprocate with tariffs. That's how this whole thing started. And we've got a situation now where alcoholic beverages, if you go into a provincial store around the whole of Canada, you can't buy American liquor, full stop.
Shit, my camera's moving. Hold on. Let me fix that. Sorry. You get to see the side there. A little dirty. Forgot how to fix this. I always forget to turn off AI tracking. Is this fun for you guys? Why doesn't it track me back, though? That's the real question. Figure it out. Boom. Boom. I go up. Good thing I was wearing pants. That could have been a real problem. Usually I'm not. That could have been a view of the penis. You could have all been very disappointed. There we go.
Buy anything else, French wine, German, whatever. You can't buy American good Kentucky whiskey in there. They've given preferential deals on autos to Germany, Japan, Korea, and China. So that's coming in.
I mean, look, I like those cars better. Why would they give preferential treatment to American cars? We don't do a better job. Have the COVID Zoom memes taught you nothing? Nothing teaches me anything. I'm an idiot. You all know that. Anyways, so Canada is China, Canada's China now. That's what we're rolling with. If you don't think that the raise your hand if you don't. Raise your hand, MAGA. This is just MAGA only. Can you in the chat raise your hand if you think the GOP is fucking up the midterms? Please, just raise it real quick. This is drinks overflowing. There we go. Raise your hand if you think, just MAGA only, if you think the GOP is fucking up the midterms. RT Peen is an emote you want? Who called out my ADHD? There it was. Not RTB having ADHD selectively cleaned only what's in frame. Well, the desk isn't in frame. My desk is a nightmare. I have it's supplements, 2 drinks. There's always like empty drinks. Anybody with ADHD knows that there's empty drinks everywhere. And it's not a Coke. It's a Kirkland sparkling energy drink. Don't drink Coca-Cola. How dare you? No hands from the MAGA. You guys, are you not engaged? Does it not work on bots? Can I not ask bots questions? Or do you guys just all think okay, try this. Put your hands up if you think the GOP is doing a good job preparing for the midterms. We'll try that one. Ty said, see, Hegseth gave medal to bearded black soldier yesterday. Who's bearded black soldier? Or you're just saying that he gave a medal to a bearded black soldier? Is that like saying that he's not racist? What was the medal for? Okay. Who is it? Secretary of War Hegseth pinned the Bronze Star Medal with V, which for Valor device on Lance Corporal Jordan Houston. That's cool. He might have had a problem with that. I don't know. He would say that he didn't. He might have, though. All right, so no hands there. We're just not engaging. All right, I've never been more sure that these are bots. You ask him a question and they can't. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Donald Trump does think that the GOP is fucking up. In fact, he said, I don't think he tweeted yesterday or amplified a post, retweeted or retruthed a post that says, I don't think the GOP fully grasps how badly they are fucking up right now. Caroline Leavitt was asked this question. When does she leave, by the way? Does anybody know when her last day is? Go be a mom. You won't be missed. I'm glad you're going to be a mom. She's probably a good mom. Say that. I don't want to disrespect moms. I'm going to skip through the question because you can barely hear. But the question is basically that does the president agree that Republicans are fucking up? Because he amplified a post yesterday that said they're fucking up.
Washing his hands of Republicans, do you think before the
End of August? Okay, so she's almost gone. It's going to be, I bet, you want to take bets? I bet it's that dipshit on CNN. He's really changed the tune. He's already practicing. Scott Jennings, which is great because then we won't have to see him on CNN. Actually, that's worse because then I'm going to have to see him more. Never mind. Not Scott Jennings, please. Today's her last day.
The president is wholeheartedly committed to helping Republicans across the board retain the majority. And I think voters across the country will be presented with a contrast between everything this president and Republicans have done. Largest middle-class tax cuts in history, no tax on tips.
We're fucking up so bad, Democrats started believing in communism. That's not way off. Honestly, that's not. I will say, like, we are so fucked that, like, socialism, probably not communism, but communism is probably more popular than it's ever been, but socialism definitely more popular than it has ever been, and democratic socialism definitely more popular. By the way, can we just point out that the most popular president in the history of this country was essentially a democratic socialist? Like, we had to rewrite the rules of our Constitution because democratic socialism was so popular. So let's I wouldn't poo-poo at that.
overtime Social Security for our seniors. Democrats in this town want to talk a lot about affordability, but they voted against the largest tax cuts in American history. They voted against putting more money in people's pockets. So
yeah, except there's not more money in people's pockets, right? So they didn't actually vote against that. They voted against the largest tax cuts in the history of this country, but they didn't vote against putting more money in people's pockets. Because that big tax cut is making things a lot worse for us. 40 trillion in debt. We're blowing up the deficit. Inflation's higher than when Trump took over. And we're just spending it all on wars and tax cuts for billionaires. I guess renaming lakes and gulfs. We got ICE out in the street terrorizing people. We're not better off for it. But that's what they're going to have to run on.
You know, President's going to Texas tonight. He'll engage in a fundraiser to keep loading up Republicans' coffers. There's obviously a huge cash advantage on the president's side, and he'll continue to go across the country, meet with everyday Americans, and push his message until the very last day. President Trump, there's no harder worker or greater fighter in politics than him, so you'll continue to see him stay out there. I do have a meeting in the Chief of Staff's office that I'm going to get to, so I'm not late for my last meeting, but thanks, guys, and I'll see you all soon. Take care. Thank you.
All right. Well, yeah, inflation's transitory. That's true. But we can track what's causing inflation. Certainly, you wouldn't say that the rise of price in gas isn't contributing to inflation, right? I think you would say that. Here's what they're running on. I swear to God, this is a real thing. Mike Johnson made this announcement. He's so pumped. He's trying to cheerlead this. This is what they're going to run on in the midterms. We've been joking about this, and now they're. I've been saying, like, what are you going to run on? Just Trump is awesome? Jokingly, I said that. Turns out that's what they're going to run on.
The president called me 2 nights before Thanksgiving last fall, and he said, Mike, we got to do a midterm convention. And I said, that's not a thing. And he said, make it a thing. Okay, so we're going to do a midterm convention.
Yep, I follow orders. Got to do a midterm convention. We don't do that. Do it. Okay. Yes, sir. Speaker of the House, a co-equal branch of the government. Okay, sir. Whatever you want.
September 9th and 10th, first time in history any party's ever done this. We're going to Dallas, Texas, y'all. Could have been anywhere in the country. Out of Texas, all right? And we're going to have everybody there 2 nights.
Hot damn. Dallas, Texas. We're going to unload our platform. Peter says, great info. Listen almost every day. Thank you. Lee said, F Donald J. Trump. And fuck Robert. Thank you for that, too. What are you going to run on, Mike? Hot damn. We're going to Dallas. We're going to launch this. What are we going to run on?
Earned media on national television. We're going to parade all of our stars across the stage. We're going to highlight the great work of people like Monica de la Cruz, okay? Yes. We're going to talk about...
Monica de la Cruz was trotted across stage. Nobody would know who Monica de la Cruz is. You don't have any stars. You have one star. You have Donald Trump. Nobody gives a fuck about anybody else in your party that's in your party. There are no stars. This is what happens when you become a cult of personality. Trot your stars across. What are they going to do? Praise Donald Trump? I bet that's what they do.
What we've done for the people. And then the president's going to look right into the camera and say, I am on the ballot, okay? Because even though his name isn't, right, his administration, his legacy, the American First agenda is. We got to.
Yeah, because the people on the ballot, nobody gives a fuck about. That's the gamble that they're taking now. Not even a gamble. I think that's their last resort. Oh no, our message isn't working. Oh no, everybody hates who we've put up. Oh no, we're a party full of grifters and crooks. Especially in Texas. The guy you put up, your own party impeached the guy you chose as the nominee, and he wouldn't have even been the nominee if Trump wasn't like, hey, he needs to be the nominee. So now it's the whole party just saying, like, Donald Trump's actually on the ballot. Ignore the names and just assume that it says Donald Trump instead.
Get people to turn out. Last hopeful point. I was on the phone with Newt Gingrich several months back, and he said, Mike, think about, and I talk to him all the time because he's one of the great strategists. He's one of the great historians of Congress. He knows this better than anybody. He said, Mike, this is the thing to tell people to make sure they know the hope. This is a tough one, this midterm, but we can win it. Hold the majority. Just hold the majority. Get people like Monica elected. This is one of the toughest races in America. Y'all know. We got to fight hard. We cannot take this for granted. As good as she is, they are fighting to take her down. You understand that? They're spending, they're outspending you 4-1 right now, okay?
The DSA is eating me up? DSA is doing really well. They're winning elections without having to spend money. They are eating up the Democratic Party. They're for sure. They've cost the Democratic Party a lot of money because the Democrats are idiots and they spent a bunch of money fighting against the DSA for fucking moderates. Because like nobody's surprised by that. Nobody's surprised by the Democrats spending money in the wrong place.
So it's going to come down to you, to all of us, all right? But Newt says, hold the majority. And the next 2 cycles are so much brighter days ahead, because in 2028, think of it. How many of you know we have a much deeper bench than the Democrats do for the presidential race, okay? Right?
Your bench is Marco Rubio and JD Vance. That's your bench. John Ossoff's perhaps like, and again, that's not my guy politically, but just objectively, John Ossoff in this country, given the history of this country, the demographics of this country, our overwhelming desire to consistently elect a white man, John Ossoff's about as good a candidate as you'll ever see in your life. JD Vance doesn't have a personality of his own, and Marco Rubio's been rejected by Republicans over and over and over again. Who's your deep bench? Who the shit do you have outside of those 2 people? And you guys don't care about JD Vance. You don't care about Marco Rubio. You never have. You've never cared about either of those 2 guys. The only reason you like them at all is because they lick Donald Trump's taint. That's it. Talk about a deep bench. Get the fuck out of here.
They're going to run Gavin, Kamala, Pete Buttigieg, or AOC for president of the United States.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're probably like, I think he's leaving out Ossoff on purpose. There is a clear front runner right now, and it's Ossoff. But Buttigieg would do well too. Newsom would do well. AOC, that would probably be a struggle. You'd have to really rely on a lot of young people showing up to vote.
I can't wait. Okay, all right. So that's 2028. We'll do AOC. Bless her heart. Okay.
I like all of you. Are you kidding, Ossoff? How come none of you can spell John Ossoff? None of like you don't know any of this stuff. Are you kidding? John Ossoff? Yeah. He's going to win the Senate seat in a red state as a blue candidate by like 8 to 10 points. It's not even going to be very close in Georgia. If you don't think John Ossoff has broad appeal across this country, again, he's pretty far right of me. But he's about as good a candidate as you'll ever find.
That's what we say. All right. Then you go to the next one in 2030. Now, this is where Texas really shines. This one I'm about to tell you. This is very important. We're going to have the 10-year census in 2030, right? The census will reflect the mass population exodus out of the blue states to the red. Everybody's leaving California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois. Guess where they're coming? Texas, right? Florida, the Tennessee, the Carolinas. So what happens is when the census reflects the population shift, we're going
to... Okay, newsflash for Mike Johnson. A newsflash for you guys. The reason people are going to Florida and Texas are because they don't have to pay income tax. That has appeal whether you're red or blue. Liberals go to. Progressives do too. Especially older white ones that just want to protect their money. You know what's happened to all of those states? You know what's happened to Utah? Utah has experienced this for a decade now, where you had a bunch of people moving from California and Washington and headed to Utah. And you know what happened? For the first time ever, there's a blue district in Utah now. It makes them more progressive. They don't come and adapt. That's why you see Texas becoming closer to purple. That's why these Florida races are closer than you thought they were going to be. People that live in California, in Washington, like they might not like the tax situation in those states, but what they do like is they like not being bigots. They're not bigots. They're not going to show up and suddenly become bigots. And nobody can really run in Texas and Florida on we're going to get rid of the exemption on state income tax. It's too popular. So you're just going to have Democrats who are running for national office. They're not even going to talk about the income tax because it has nothing to do with what they're doing. They're going to run on stuff that's important to everybody. That's why you have in Texas, what is his goddamn name? Tallarico leading in the polls. Will he win? I don't know. That's why he's leading. It's not as red as you think. The problem that Republicans have that they don't seem to understand is their ideas are deeply unpopular. The states where they live and the tax breaks they give are popular, but the rest of their platform, not very popular. So people can just go to those states and vote blue for moderates.
Get reapportionment, right? We're going to get more Republican seats in the red states where they belong. And guess what, y'all? Dude says, Mike, at that point, after 2030, you guys can build a durable, governing, common sense conservative majority for a generation or longer. And that's how you keep the communists at bay. Texas, baby. Right?
Yeah. Fighting an invisible army. The communists, there aren't any. They're running on, hey guys, vote like Trump's on the ballot to keep the communists away. Why don't we vote like Lincoln's on the ballot to keep the sharks away? Makes just as much sense. That's unfortunately one political party in our country. And I just think that this is why you're going to struggle. It's not speaking to anything anybody cares about. This was Jessica Tarloff. I just wanted to show this because there's been this weird thing like Jesse Waters has been getting a ton of shit because he really likes Abdul al-Sayed. And so Jessica's going to take a shot here. But the overall point here is that Republicans they don't have a populist message. They did when they ran in 2024. Like the big things that they ran on in 2024 was no new wars, right? And that they were and they say mass deportation. I don't think that was so important, but it was this idea that like we're going to have an outsider view and we're going to do what's best for America. We're going to put Americans first. And then they've done nothing but like just put a handful of rich people first. They had a populist message. They haven't delivered on that. And so they're losing people. Like the flip with independents, they've lost like 46 points with independents, which they really, really relied on to win in 2024. So if you're going to throw Trump on the ballot in 2026 with that same messaging, the problem he's got is a record. You can look back at these 2 years and go, yeah, he might have said that. It's a cool message, but they're not doing that. Here's Jessica Tarloff taking a shot at Jesse and also explaining.
Experimenting. My God, you guys are annoying. Okay, so it's about speaking to the concerns of the populace. And that is something that actually these candidates from the DSA or from the progressive left, like Jesse's new boyfriend, Abdul, are doing a lot more effectively than the center of the party.
Are you gay shaming me?
I am gay priding you every day, Jesse. I very much enjoyed the interview and was sad that I missed circumcision day.
Yeah, I just don't think this message of Donald Trump is God is going to work. And again, Republicans, you're welcome to come up here and tell me what else they're running on. But I'm listening to Mike Johnson say we're running on Donald Trump. It's a good question, Alan. How has Trump put Americans first? I'd love to get some examples of that. I don't think that's happening. Georgia had a chance, like Texas, not to put up a criminal, but they did. They chose Mike Collins. And just a reminder, this is from the Republican primaries. You could have chosen somebody else who didn't have an ethics complaint. This is Mike Collins here. What happened with Mike Collins is he allowed like his chief of staff to hire his girlfriend, paid like $5,000 a month for her to basically do nothing. That chief of staff is now gone. Republicans have opened an investigation, an ethics probe, and it's taken like 2 years. And now they say, oh, we're putting it on hold because he might not be reelected. And so they just didn't do an ethics investigation. Because we don't really care about ethics or fraud or wasteful spending, not when it's a Republican.
Here, because Mike, you're under an ethics investigation by your Republican colleagues for abusing taxpayer money. So here's my question. First of all, why did you not cooperate with the investigation for over 4 months? And how can hardworking Georgians trust you going forward?
Well, you know, Derek, here's the thing on this investigation, this ethics. It's complaint. It's the same thing that I answered in the last debate twice. And anybody can file a complaint. An anonymous person can file a complaint. It doesn't mean that the ethics committee has even taken it up. We'll work with the ethics committee. If they have any questions, we'll be glad to answer those questions. But that has not been taken up. It's bogus. It's a nothing burger. And we look forward to going on and pushing that passes.
If it was bogus and a nothing burger, why'd you fire the staffer? What did that staffer do?
But in the meantime, I'm going to be out there making sure that people of the state of Georgia have a clear choice and making sure that I am laser focused, that they understand that they can have proven conservative leadership that has delivered us more secure, more safe, more prosperous country versus John Ossoff, who's been out there with his far left agenda that's backed by these California and New York donors, and he's making
far left agenda. John Ossoff is just like a moderate. It's so like you can't point to any specific. These are just buzzwords for conservatives, and it works for like the Fox News crowd. Far left, California, throw in some George Soros there. Never give any specifics.
Making your life less safe, more expensive, and less free.
Derek Dooley,
again, another typical politician.
I'd just like to point out that what he's talking about, John Ossoff has been in office while the Republicans are in control. So if you're less safe and things are more expensive, then that's not the fault of John Ossoff. That would be the people who control the House, the Senate, and the presidency, right? If we're blaming Congress, how are you blaming John Ossoff for that?
Didn't answer the question about the 4 months where he wouldn't cooperate. But here's the other issue he's not telling the Georgia people, that his Republican colleagues looked at all these thousands of complaints, and there have been a lot of them, and they have voted to narrow it down to only 4 complaints that deserve further review, serious investigation, and of the 4, 2 of them involve Mike Collins. And this isn't the first time that that's happened.
And Republican voters in Georgia said, we want Mike Collins. And so you chose Mike Collins. There's another staffer that got fired from Mike Collins' staff. And I don't, maybe he just, best case scenario, Mike Collins doesn't know how to do background checks. If he did, he probably wouldn't have hired a trigger warning here. Probably wouldn't have hired this guy. Probably wouldn't have hired a guy that tweeted stuff like this. Perhaps Mike Collins isn't a good guy. Perhaps white supremacy and the KKK isn't far removed from the Republican Party. How did that person wind up on staff? Meanwhile, establishment Democrats are trying to fuck everything up. Neera Tanden will not shut the fuck up about Hassan Piker. I don't know why moderate Democrats are doing this. I have no idea. And I understand if they think that they're getting hit over the head with Hassan Piker quotes all the time. You know who doesn't care about Hassan Piker? Almost everybody in America. Voters across the country do not give a shit about Hassan Piker. Most don't know who he is. Most of us do because we run in this circle, but nobody really fucking cares. I don't know why any Democrat in this country is spending any time at all talking about Hassan Piker, specifically criticizing him. What are you doing? I can only assume that Neera Tanden, she runs in political circles, so her reality doesn't match the reality of the voting populace, so she just keeps talking about Hassan Piker. I know Destiny does it, but they've got beef. Hassan says he's a sex pest, and I don't know what Destiny calls him. Probably a commie. I don't know what Destiny accuses him of, a dog beater or something. But what are we doing spending time? Any Democrat spending time talking about or trying to defend Hassan Piker? Just shut up. Nobody cares. Let the Republicans talk about him all they want. It doesn't need to be addressed. Nobody is going to the ballot box for Hassan Piker.
Each other. One reason why we love each other is because we're both posters at heart.
Calls him a terrorist sympathizer? Okay, yeah, that's probably what Destiny calls him. You're right.
Your Twitter energy, though, lately has been a little bit off of Susan Collins for my taste. I counted this morning 15 tweets about Hassan Piker since Sunday. A lot of attacking the left right now from you on the Twitter account when we have a big challenge ahead of us in November. And so,
yes, I think this is a really important thing to discuss. I actually appreciate the opportunity to talk about this because I want to make a distinction. And I've said this publicly. I said this to the New York Times like a month or two ago, which is we're left candidates, even DSA aligned candidates win in swing states. Where DSA candidates win in blue cities. That's a healthy thing for a party. It's okay for a Democratic broad tent to have very liberal candidates in very liberal parts of the country. And when people complain about this, I say to them, there are like some really cuckoo members in like MAGA parts of the country. And, you know, like it's a big tent and we should be clear on that. My concern, and it's a genuine concern, is that Hassan Piker is noxious to the brand of the Democratic Party in swing states and swing districts. And
so shut up about him. I love this. I like that, Daniel. You can always count on Dems eating themselves. Is that a criticism? Are you in here criticizing that Democrats will turn on each other? That they have principles? To me, I'm not a Democrat. I wind up mostly voting for Democrats. But to me, like that's a feature, not a bug. I like that. I don't like the sycophancy of the right. It's weird. I grew up in a cult. It feels the same to me. Do not criticize dear leader. Dear leader gets everything right. Like, for fuck's sake, you guys are out here defending a trade war against Canada. Like, respectfully, knock it off. That's silly. Yeah, I don't think that's a criticism. I like that about this party. I like that we have two Democrats here. One of them saying, what are you talking about Hassan Piker for? And her saying, like, he hurts people in swing states. Okay. Who, though? Like, I haven't seen any, like, broad polling. Has anybody seen any polling that says people are like that were going to vote Democrat are now voting Republican because Hassan Piker? Find me that poll, please. I would love to see that poll. If El Sayed's name was Jack Smith, well, that's probably not the right one. Jack Anderson, he'd be leading in Michigan by miles because he's not even really very radical. He's not even DSA. The truth about Michigan is like El Sayed's name is going to cause some problems for him. His religion's going to cause some problems for him. It's not Hassan. If I'm wrong about that, just show me some polling. I can't wait to see the exit polling. You know what's not going to show up in exit polling? Hassan Piker. It's not going to be like, all right, why did you vote for the Republicans? Because El Sayed campaigned with Hassan Piker. No one's going to say that. Nobody cares. It's just like it's these media folks. Maybe it's a jealousy thing. I don't know. I don't want to speak to their intention. It could be. Maybe they just don't like the attention he's getting. Maybe they think that their message should get more attention. I don't know, but I don't know why we're spending any time trying to like criticize people for campaigning with Hassan Piker. The very message she's getting is like, there's a broad spectrum of people over here. It's a big tent. Cool. So Hassan's in that tent? Yeah. And what does he do? He uses his voice? Yeah. And what happens if we don't mostly agree with Hassan? Well, we just don't do what Hassan says. That's the whole point of a big tent with different ideas. Why are you criticizing people for campaigning with him then?
And I'm always for a big tent, but big tents have tent poles. And tent pole for me is we should be against racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism.
What about strategy?
Which one of those are they accusing Hassan of? Racism? Probably not Islamophobia. I don't think they're accusing him of sexism. Anti-Semitism, maybe? Is that the accusation? Just anti-Semitism? Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen anything from Hassan that wasn't criticizing Israel from the same perspective that I have, which is the ideology of Zionism and ethno-supremacy. I guess if that's anti-Semitic, then that's whatever. Like, I don't like ethno-supremacy. I don't like genocide. I don't like Zionism. I think that's a pretty popular opinion.
I'm talking about strategy. Like,
she's probably just a Zionist. She might be. I don't know much about her.
15 tweets about Piker this week feels like a lot. Like Abdul won, and I've got things that I could nitpick Abdul about, but like he's not campaigning with the Sun anymore. Like that was in the past, and again, so like why keep talking about it? It's like not that helpful. It doesn't feel like.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Some say, I mean, he's a misogynist. It might be. I don't know. Like I said, I don't consume a lot of his content. Most of what I see from him is regarding Israel. So maybe, I don't know.
I feel like I have tried to be clear that it's good. It's a good thing that he's moved off of Piker. And I've said multiple times, I would support Abdul El-Sayed. I think this is a good step. A lot of people looked at his statement and said, oh, it's not enough. Abdul El-Sayed's statement, it's not enough. I think this is a good step. You know, you can't, like, it's good when people do stuff you want them to do. That's great. But I'll tweet less if you'd like.
No, I like your tweeting. I'm just trying to get like an 80-20 ratio.
All right, cool. Knock it off. Democrats. Like, this is what when somebody said Democrats eat their own, I like that part. The thing that I don't like is the self-importance of some of these people that will like cause voters to question. Like, go vote for somebody who has policies that you like. Don't worry about who they campaigned with. I saw this when I worked for Romney. Like, this is how they tried to smear Obama. For the record, I think it backfires. I think all this attention on Piker backfires because when you go and you look at the things that he said, like if you're not hyper partisan or if you're not a Zionist, you're not going to look at what Hassan said specifically, even about 9/11. And if you do the appropriate amount of research, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, like he was rooting for the terrorists. He essentially said like we deserved it because of what we did. And then the very next day he apologized and clarified like I wasn't careful with my words. Here's how I should have phrased it and said, nobody's going to look at that with an open mind and be like, oh yeah, he's rooting for the terrorists. That's just you if you already hate him, you're going to conclude that. If you have an open mind at all, you're not going to conclude that he was rooting for the terrorists. Is that how you justify it? Kind of like walking. Oh, I don't think that's for me. I don't think that's for me. I don't know. Is that for me, Steven? Is that how you justify it? Like walking over homeless people in LA? I assume you're not talking to me. Because that doesn't make sense with justifying Hassan. Meanwhile, here's what should be covered. And C-SPAN's the only one covering it. We got El Sayed on stage explaining how we're going to pay for Medicare for all. And CNN's going to be like, hey, what did Hassan Piker say today? Should we talk more about Lake Ontario? Can anybody in news media do some legitimate coverage here? Everybody always says you can't pay for Medicare for all. Here's 4 minutes and 14 seconds at a town hall on C-SPAN of him explaining how we pay for it.
Not a gotcha question.
Yeah, I am. I'm talking about his animal abuse. I don't know much about that. I saw the video. I don't know. I don't think that's really, I don't think anybody legitimately holds that position. I think that you're doing kind of exactly what I was saying. Like if you're predisposed to hate Hassan, you're going to take really really hardline approaches. There's a lot of people. I don't hit my dogs, but like I had this vibrating collar. It just goes bzz, it's like a little buzz. And we actually like tied it into the collar. Just a little buzzer. We sewed it in, excuse me. And so with my labs, it would be a buzz to remind them because there was 2 of them, and they were siblings, and so they just focus on each other. So one way to get their attention because they wouldn't listen to our voice is it's like a buzz and it bothers them. So they'd be like, huh? So I don't know what that collar was, but like there are people that do the buzz collar. There's people that do the one that's like a TENS machine, which again isn't painful, but it's startling. The first time we did that to my dog, the dog's like kind of freaked out. They're like, ah! Because they never felt that before. So I don't know what he did or what he didn't do, but I don't think that's your real position.
Okay. How can we pay for Medicare for all? That's a nagging question I've been asked a lot, and I have 35 years of experience in healthcare financing. So whatever you want to say, I will understand it.
And I did that on stream. No, but even then, like I don't know if he did that on stream or not. I don't even know if that's what happened.
Okay. Mark, I really, really love and appreciate your question, because it really gets to the heart of what we're trying to do. Right.
Sorry, this is really quiet. I can't get it any louder, but let me see if I can find another version of this on YouTube. While we're doing this, even like this is my point. Like you're like, oh, you did it on stream. This is why I don't think it's your real position. Because if I did that and you don't have an opposition to what I did, why would it be any different that I did it on stream? That makes it seem like you just assume that everybody's a different person off stream. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know a lot about him. I've seen that clip. Do that. Let's see if I can find a different version here real fast. While we're doing that, just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded. So if you want to help us knock out that gift goal, the pay apps are in the top left or bottom left corner, depending on where you are watching. This is how we keep the lights on here. We don't take sponsorship money, and we get very little in terms of advertising money. So if you want to help us out and knock out that gift goal, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm on YouTube looking for another clip of this. Is this it? That's not it. Might just be quiet, and I apologize. We might just have to deal with it. Maybe C-SPAN has it on their YouTube. Let me see. Oh, maybe it's up here. Can we search inside? Yeah. Me too. All right, we're just gonna have to play it quiet. Sorry.
Now, we spend, as you know, 19 cents on the dollar for every dollar in the whole American economy paying for healthcare. Every single one of those dollars comes out of somebody's back pocket, whether it's an employer or an employee, or comes out of the back pocket of our taxpayers. 60% of all the healthcare reimbursement in this country is already paid for by the government through Medicare, which is the program we offer for seniors and people with certain disabilities, or Medicaid, which is a program for low-income Americans, right? So 60% is already paid for by the federal government. So what we're really talking about is the other 4%, or 40%, right? And right now what happens is, let's say you and I assume you're a W-2 employee somewhere. Let's say I was a W-2 employee somewhere, right? W-2 is the normal way you get paid if you have a full-time job, okay? The first one who eats on your W-2 paycheck is FICA. You know who FICA is? Federal Insurance Collections Agency. That is Social Security and Medicare. You know who eats next? Your healthcare insurance company. They take money right off the top, okay? You pay, that's called a premium. Part of the premium is paid by your employer, part of the premium is paid by you, okay? And then almost every health plan in the country has what's called a deductible. A deductible is the money you have to pay to get the health insurance you already thought you paid for. And then, even when you've paid the whole deductible, you have what's called a copay, meaning you have to pay when somebody else pays. You already know all this, but I just want everybody to get a clear picture of this. And the reason they make you pay a copay is because they say they want you to have skin in the game. But the funny thing about it is when it's called healthcare, when we're talking about paying for healthcare, you literally have skin in the game, okay? It's like actually your skin. And that's how we pay for it now. The problem with it is this: your insurance company gets to take your healthcare away if you lose your job. That's how it works, right? And even then, they get to dictate what doctor you go to, what hospital you can seek care at, because they've negotiated special rates with...
Jen Star said, figured I would start a fuck Steven train. Thomas, thank you. Big W Thomas in the chat for $50 of super chat. And Sonny said, yeah, Steven is dishonest as fuck.
Special hospitals.
Sorry, Steven.
And they use those rates to help hospitals buy each other up, and the hospitals use those rates to help insurers buy each other up. And then, on top of all that, we still sustain $225 billion in medical debt because of that deductible. Because most people don't realize that if they actually got catastrophically ill under our current system, the median deductible is $4,500 for the average family of four. And that's the one that kills you. So if the median income is about $72,000 here in Michigan, a $4,000 deductible is more than a single paycheck to get the healthcare you already thought you paid for in every single paycheck.
It's not giving me an option, I think, for closed captions here. It's Twitter. So I don't have an option for closed captions, or I would pop them on. Sorry. YouTube should have an option for that. If you're watching on YouTube, though, there should be an option for closed captions.
So how do we pay for Medicare for all? We would pay for it the same way we pay for Medicare and Social Security. It would come off the top of our paycheck. Now, Medicare for all would be cheaper than the current system. Why? Because the whole system relies on us paying extra money into the system to pay the overhead of the health insurance system. That overhead goes away. No CEOs.
This is what, if people are trying to cover news honestly, or if people are trying to like cover Medicare for all honestly, everybody would know this. The fact that most people in America don't know this, and that when we have this discussion, like conservatives don't know this, or they've never even thought about that. This is one, an indication of just how powerful the health insurance lobbies are, but two, just how disconnected from reality on our own health insurance system most Americans are. The idea that you could take a for-profit system and run it as a non-profit system and it wouldn't be cheaper is laughable. Of course, if you remove profit, it's cheaper. Of course it is. Of course, if you remove additional spending for things like commercials and dividends and benefits and commissions and trips and private jets and of course it would be cheaper. Thank you. It's just math. And every time we get a conservative talking about this and we bring that up, they're like, no, it would be more expensive. Why? Because government equals more expensive. And that's just not true. We are precluded from having good health care in this country by stupidity and a severe lack of critical thinking. Legitimately, the opposition to Medicare for all is government bad, government expensive. I know, like, pay tax. Would you like to have more money at the end of the month? Yes. So what if you had more money at the end of the month, but instead of paying a health insurance company, you paid the government? Never mind, I want less money. And that's the entire opposition to Medicare for all. It's the entire thing. There's not going to be anybody in this chat that offers you anything other than that. The entire opposition is that, or things that already exist in our system, like wait times or rationing care. Those things already happen in our system, and that's something that the government has to keep an eye on. But they have some control over that. The health insurance companies have no control over that. It is fucking incredible to see an entire party and part of another party advocate for the worst possible system we could possibly have. It's more expensive. The outcomes are worse. Nobody likes it. It's the leading cause of bankruptcy in this country. And a majority of people in Congress are fighting to keep that disastrous system alive. And nobody, CNN, MSNBC, nobody in mainstream media will cover the reality that single-payer healthcare works. I want to show this real quick. Like, this is how pathetic it's gotten. Let me hop over to YouTube. I forgot that I had saved this video. I meant to add it today. Let me hop over real quick and go to my saved. Is this it?
You can change public opinion. Makes sense.
No,
You know,
not it.
like consequences.
Well, that's
of-
Shoot. Maybe I didn't send it. Or save it. I could have sworn. This. Why is Shane Gillis more coherent than most of our government?
This communism's the gayest shit ever.
Sorry.
It's the worst shit.
It's Rogan coded. I apologize in advance.
He needs to look into how gay communism is.
But isn't it crazy that it's making a comeback?
Yeah.
It always does. It's a cycle. There's a cycle.
The problem is if we cannot call it communism if we get free healthcare.
Right.
That would be a good move.
That would help a lot.
We're calling everybody communist and wants free
socialist,
healthcare.
communist, and you're like,
free
just-
healthcare is cool.
Yeah.
We should have that.
It's normal.
Yeah. That's not communism.
We should have
Communism
health
is
care
no
and
private
education.
property.
Yeah.
You should treat the entire country like it's a community. If you have a community, would you want the sickest person to fucking die who could be very valuable if you could like take care of them? And do you have the resources to take
I like the qualifier there. Would you want them to die if they could be very valuable? How about just do you want them to die? Despite whether or not they provide economic value.
Take care of
Of course
them?
you should. We're a
Take
rich
care of
country.
them. Exactly.
Do it with libraries. It's no big deal.
This is the problem with
We don't feel
capitalism.
like a community.
This is the reason why people turn on all these billionaires. They turn on them because why do you have so much when people have so little? But it's because it's the game. It's the game that they're playing. And you're playing the game too. You're just not playing it at that level.
Yeah. Free healthcare is cool. We should just do free healthcare. Right? And when they say free healthcare, what they're talking about is Medicare for all, which of course isn't free. It's paid for, but it's free at the time of use. Right? It's like when I ride my bike, it's free to ride my bike, but did I pay for it? Yeah. Did I pay for taxes for the roads and sidewalks? Yeah. But when I use it each time, I don't get charged. That's what they mean by free healthcare. And that's another thing. Like Republicans know that. You understand that logic, and you'll still make the argument of nothing is free. Some dipshit in the chat is going to say, after I've already said this, it's not free, you know.
No marketing budget. No army of billers that you have to have in order to figure out how to bill for this code or that code or the third code for every insurance. That all goes away. So from the perspective that I care about, which is our kitchen table budget, right? You're paying less for insurance that's more durable because you don't lose it if you lose that job, without a premium, a copay, or deductible, and without being told what doctor you can see or you can't see. Now, A lot of people like to ask, well, how many trillions of dollars is it going to be? The better question is this: how many tens of thousands of dollars is it going to be for the average family? It's going to be fewer and for more durable care without having to worry about out-of-pocket costs that put you in debt.
I mean, I even look in this chat, like Steven, respectfully, like you're still talking about Hassan's dog. Can we get healthcare in this country? Can we get that sorted out? Don't tell me that the free market works. Don't tell me private health insurance works. It doesn't. We've been doing it for decades. It doesn't work. We have all the data. In many cases, we're 3 times as expensive as other countries, and we get worse healthcare. We've got millions of people with no access to healthcare. We could have it, it would be cheaper, and everybody would have access. I know you don't. I know you don't want free healthcare for everyone, but you don't have a good reason for it. Watch. What's your reason? I shouldn't have to pay for someone else's inability to stay healthy. You already do if you have healthcare. You already pay for people to go to school. You always, like you legitimately, not even in private healthcare, Stephen, you already pay for people who can't afford healthcare with Medicare. You already do it. So now your argument is, I already do this, but I don't want to get a benefit from it too. No matter what, I'm going to pay for people to get healthcare that can't afford it. But in this other scenario, not only do I have to pay for it, but I also get to use it. I don't want that. I don't want the part where I get to use it too and I get a benefit. I also don't want the part where I get to save money. I also don't want the part where we eliminate the number one cause of bankruptcy in this country. You don't have good arguments. There isn't a good argument against it. Stephen, every single person who has ever entered this chat and argued against single-payer healthcare says the same thing. I don't want to. Yeah, we get it. You're selfish. And that's fine. You could be selfish, but you should also be intelligent. And you should also do the right thing for everybody. Make things less expensive. At some point in your life, whether you have healthcare now or health insurance now or not, at some point you'll be sick, you'll get hurt, you have to see a doctor. Wouldn't it be nice to know that no matter what happens, when you go see that doctor, it will not end in a medical bankruptcy? You're not here with tens of millions of dollars. You're not somebody who's here in the middle of the day on a YouTube chat who can get cancer and pay for it by yourself, pay for the treatment by yourself. You can't. Most Americans can't. So let's get rid of the number one cause of bankruptcy. And by the way, let's pay less for it. It's such an embarrassing thing that so many people, and it's always some dude, I don't want to pay for others who don't work hard. You already do. That's how taxes work. If you want to live in a place without taxes, get a fucking canoe and go in the ocean. You can do that. Try some seasteading. But while you live here in America, we have taxes, so we might as well use our taxes to benefit people. That's kind of the point of the Constitution, right? In order to form not a perfect nation, a more perfect union. What do? We establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare. That's in the preamble. And you're like, I don't like those parts. I don't like common defense, and I don't like general welfare. Oh, wait, no, military? Yeah. Let's spend all the fucking money in the world on the military. I'm good with that. I will spend money to murder brown people in the Middle East all day fucking long. Do they have to pass an audit? No, hell no, fuck no. Don't pass an audit. I will pay to murder people. What about so that people don't die from cancer? No, I'm not doing that. What about so that people don't go bankrupt if they need insulin? No, I'm not doing that. I draw the line at murdering people in the Middle East. I'll pay for that all day long. I will not pay for Americans to live. No, especially not the poors. We don't want the poors to live. That's legitimately your argument. I'm not even spinning this. I respectfully, I like debate. I like political debate. I think that a lot of positions that conservatives take, I get they're like justifiable. This one makes no sense. I don't understand why you guys are dying on this hill. You're dying on a hill to literally let people die on a hill. Well, I don't want cheaper health care if people don't die or get bankrupt or go bankrupt. I don't want these poors living. It just makes no fucking sense. And I'd ask you to give me any like legitimate argument other than it's not, I don't wanna. That's not a good argument. And it's anti-American. And it's antithetical to like what the founding fathers said we should do. Provide or promote the general welfare. You're not doing that. I won't trust the government with my health. That's not what, see, and this is the problem. This is health insurance. This puts you in total control of your health. If you don't want to see a doctor, don't. If you want to see a doctor, cool. Guess who you get to go see? Whoever the fuck you want, because it's the only insurance in the country. Guess who makes the decision on your care? You do. This enables you to have total control over your own health. The arguments that you're using have been curated and cultivated and tested to make sure that you just argue against your own best interests over and over and over again. Thank you, Melissa. Why do we have to fight for this shit? Because of propaganda. Because people, you just don't want to admit that you're wrong. Yeah, I'll stay on this topic as long as you want, Stephen. This is the thing I care about most. There are thousands of people in this country who you say, we say this all the time, like, we're killing small business. It's harder to be an entrepreneur. We kill competition. You know what kills competition? Being forced to work for somebody else in order to have health care. Because if you're self-employed, if you're an independent contractor, if you have a small business, the cost of health care is out of reach. So you're just like, man, I hope while I'm building this company, one, I hope it gets big. But two, while I wait till I have enough money, I sure hope I don't get sick or the dream is over. How many people do you think would leave their jobs, start their own business, be innovative if they weren't tied to working at a company in order to provide health care? That's the lie. That's why the corporations aren't out there saying, like, corporations would save money doing single-payer healthcare. They would pay less in healthcare costs if we went to single-payer Medicare for all. You know why they don't want to do it? Because the people that they step on to make their billions will bounce. Because they're only staying for the benefits. You want more competition? You want less monopolies? Let people do what the fuck they want for work and not have to be tied to a massive corporation. What if I want to go work at a startup? What if they have less than 50 employees and they don't have to guarantee me health care? Well, now I've got a choice. Am I excited to work at this little startup now? Am I excited to be innovative? Yeah, I would love to do that. You have health care? No. Okay, I'll just sit here and code at Google the rest of my life and hate my fucking job. Well, that's capitalism, baby. It's freedom. Like, health insurance in this way is freedom for you, for me, for everybody. You want to live the life you want to live? You want to go accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish? Great. Don't tie people's employment to healthcare. That's the dumbest. Like, there's nobody else in the world that's like, we've got problems with our healthcare system. How do we fix it? What if, hear me out, what if the only people who could afford healthcare had to work for a massive corporation? Well, that's a great idea. That'll fix it. That's going to fix it for sure. Yay! Small businesses, overnight, done. I wish, like, I think it would be cool if I could provide healthcare for Jen. That'd be cool. Can't. Don't have the money for it. I can't afford $13,000 extra a year. I can't afford that for myself. Could I afford to pay more in my Medicare taxes? Could I pay like 6%? Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. That's less. If you've got a family and you make $100,000 a year, you're probably paying $13, $14, $15, up to anywhere between like $13,000 and $20,000 a year for health insurance. What if you paid $8,000? And what if on that $8,000 you had no deductible and no copay? Wouldn't that be better? Why would you advocate for the system where you don't have an extra $5,000 to whatever, $12,000 in your pocket every year. Why wouldn't you advocate for that? This is one of those instances where we are divided because we are told to be divided. In all of the time I've spent debating, I have never once left a debate where it was an actual debate about Medicare for all, where the person I debated didn't go, yeah, that's probably it. I either get thrown off and said, like, you're a commie, or they agree. What there never is an understanding of what Medicare for all is, how to pay for it, and any explanation for why Medicare for all would be worse. It's always, there will be lines. The government can't do anything. The one thing that the government's really fucking good at is writing a check, and that's all this is. Medicare for all is the government writing a check. That's it. They're good at that. It's one of the things that they're really good at is writing checks. You know that. I know that. So let's do the right thing. Let's have better health care. Let's have the government write the check. Let's collectively bargain. Let's get the shit out of our food. Let's take away the ability for big pharma to lobby the government, to pay off doctors and get people hooked on drugs. Let's get our prescription drugs down. Let's not allow for people like that piece of shit who bought the AIDS drug and then jacked up the price because people were either going to live or like they're going to die without it. So he's like, there's no real market principles here. Their choice is life or death. They'll pay whatever. Just get rid of all that shit. Again, the only reason you're against it is because you're afraid of the word socialism. And you've spent decades now arguing that this shit doesn't work. There's a reason Mitt Romney signed this bill into law in Massachusetts, and there's a reason that Massachusetts hasn't decided not to do it anymore. It works. There's a reason not one single country, zero, out of all the countries in the world, there's zero that have single-payer healthcare that want to switch to our system. Somebody said earlier, like, we're in Europe, we're laughing at you. That sucks. I'm sure they are laughing at us, but they've got to be laughing that we're just incredibly stupid. Sonny said, conservatives are morons who think eating good food is all it takes to be healthy and disease comes from obesity and bad air or something equally stupid. Yeah, but even if they were right? Even if that were true, conservatives actively promote policy that makes food less healthy. We covered it yesterday. Capitalism isn't helping the quality of our food. They actively advocate for policies that make our air and our water less clean. So if they're like, just eat good food and breathe good air. Okay, well, stop fucking that up too. You know how silly it is to be a conservative talking about health or healthcare at all? Your entire party is meant to make people, like rich people rich and poor people dead. Like that's every policy that you have. Pick one that doesn't make rich people rich and poor people dead. Tom said, what would it cost for you to do a 6-hour stream? On what? I don't know. I mean, it's basically $100 an hour is basically what we try and do. I don't know if that's Caleb. Love the show. Thank you for everything you do. Appreciate that. I'm missing here. Natalie said employers did not have to pay for health insurance. If employers did not have to pay for health insurance, they could offer higher wages. Yeah. Heaven forbid we have higher wages too. No, I'm scared of the socialisms. Pink says, hail Satan and fuck Zionism. Fair enough. All right. How much time do we have? 30 minutes. I'll update the gift goal. If you guys want to help us knock out the remaining balance of that'd be great. We are crowdfunded, and we don't have health insurance here. So we're trying to stay healthy as much as we can. If you want to help us knock out that gift goal, that would be awesome. All right. I want to show this was from 2011. I saw this clip today.
CNBC's
I was listening to this clip
veteran,
today, actually. And then I saw the video. I just assumed this was somebody on MSNBC today. But you can see by the age of Ari Melber, that this is an older clip. This is from 2011. And the reason I want to show this clip is this just goes to show how little we've accomplished since 2011 and how obvious our financial problems were since 2011. And all we've done is argued capitalism versus communism since then, or socialism, and we never fixed anything.
Madigan drew on his Wall Street experience to rebuke corporate greed and rigged systems, including in an MSNBC rant that went viral in 2011. He wrote the book Greedy Bastards, Taking on Big Finance's Systemic Failures. He launched an effort to curb growing billionaire power over democracy called Get Money Out. He even ran for Congress, losing in a Democratic primary in the district now held by Elise Stefanik, who is the fourth-ranking House Republican. She chairs that conference, so it's a pretty different vision for that seat than had Dylan Ratigan won it.
Shit, this was the wrong clip. Let me just do the original one then. I tried to find this on YouTube, and I think I just got the wrong one. Here's the original clip I saw this morning. Here's the rant that made him famous. Dylan Ratigan. Sorry for the quality of the picture here.
We've got a real problem, and I'm tired of Republicans and Democrats who either want Republicans who want to burn the place to the ground, and Democrats, with all due respect, who want to offer a plan that gets it through their end of their second term of their presidency, and then screws me and my kids when it's over. And until we do that, we have to deal with the extraction that is at foot. It is the reason the financial markets are behaving the way they're behaving. That is a mathematical fact. This is not some opinion. This is a mathematical fact. Tens of trillions of dollars are being extracted from the United States of America. Democrats aren't doing it. Republicans are not doing it. An entire integrated system, financial system, trading system, taxing system that was created by both parties over a period of 2 decades.
Yeah, emotional, but yeah, sometimes I'm like that too.
Is at work on our entire country right now. And we're sitting here arguing about whether we should do the $4 trillion plan that kicks the can down the road for the president for 2017 or burn the place to the ground, both of which are reckless, irresponsible, and stupid. And the fact of the matter is, until we actually, and I'm sorry to lose my temper, but I tell you what, I've been coming on TV for 3 years doing this. And the fact of the matter is that there's a refusal on both the Democratic and the Republican side of the aisle to acknowledge the mathematical problem, which is that the United States of America is being extracted. It's being extracted through banking, it's being extracted through trade, and it's being extracted through taxation. And there's not a single politician that has stepped forward, Susan, to deal with this.
But there's only one right now. The leader of the free world, whether you like it or not, the president of the United States is arguably one of the...
Yeah, who said that? Conversations kill. This is like the scene from Don't Look Up. Yeah, like it's got to be excruciating to talk about this. It is so fucking frustrating to talk politics. Like if I want to talk about the deficit, if I want to talk about debt spending, you know what I'm forced to compare? I can go, well, the Democrats usually lower deficit spending slightly, and the Republicans raise deficit spending, and that's it. That's the entirety of the argument. Democrats are slightly better. Are we doing anything about labor prices in this country, making it nearly impossible to do farming, to do manufacturing? No, we're not going to address that at all. Are we going to do anything about the rising costs of healthcare? No, because Democrats are slightly better on the deficit than Republicans. That's why I'm so interested in the DSA, and I think that's why a lot of people are curious about the DSA. Frankly, that's why there are people that were Bernie Sanders voters who became Trump voters, because everybody's sick of this shit. Everybody is so fucking sick of the Democrats going, we're slightly better, and the Republicans going, they're socialists. Like I've been in politics since 2008. The people change. We're a little more fascist now than we were then, but ultimately, like nothing else has changed. We still have massive corporations running everything. We still have money that dictates all decisions. And when I say money that dictates all decisions, I don't mean what's best for the country. I mean whoever can give the politicians the most money sets the rules. And that, like, we just learned this with Israel. Like, we have this divide in the Democratic Party over Israel. Why? Because there's half of them that are like, oh, I really like cashing these checks from AIPAC. And everybody else is like, yeah, but maybe we don't fund a genocide. They're like, oh, it's freedom of speech. And then we have a Supreme Court who's like, well, actually, money is freedom of speech. And if you tell a rich person who has unlimited amounts of money that they can't spend unlimited amounts of money to influence elections, then that is a violation of free speech. It's a real thing in this country, this freedom-loving, patriot-filled country. Our Supreme Court, which is bought and paid for by those same fucking people, our Supreme Court literally ruled that the more money you have, the more influence you get to have over our government. And they wrote it down like, hey, actually, speech isn't speech. Money is speech. Bribes are speech. And so because everybody's allowed to bribe the government, we can't say that the people with all the money can't bribe the government however much they want. So the richest people are just in control of everything. How do we get to a point where our Supreme Court, our conservative, handpicked by the Heritage Foundation, or not the Heritage Foundation. What's the other one? Not Heritage. The what's the other one? Help me out. Leonard Leo's group. They just bring these judges up. They work them through the courts. They stick their hand up and they work them like puppets. The rich people are like, "Hey, we're gonna cultivate this culture," and suddenly, out of nowhere, the Supreme Court's like, "Actually, money is speech." Federalist Society, thank you, I appreciate that. From the Federalist Society, and now we've got a Supreme Court full of molded, handpicked Federalist Society judges who rule over and over and over again to strip away your rights. And on the left, we understand that because it's like we're not going to side with them. And on the right, you don't see it because why? You're too busy looking at the left. You're too busy worried about socialism or AOC or trans people that you don't even recognize that your party is selling you out. And you can't take time to stop and criticize the Supreme Court for literally in the United States of America, where you guys all say we're free speech. They ruled that your speech is like gets to be less than somebody else's just simply if they have more money. If you're poor, your voice means dick. If you're rich, your voice can mean everything. You can convince the government to give you NASA. Hey, I want NASA. Okay. Here's NASA. Thank you. What are you going to do? I'm going to crash a lot of fucking rockets. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. Do we get to benefit? No, you don't. I'm also going to make all the profit. I'm going to suck all the profit out of it too. It's going to be a for-profit system. Okay, you can have it. Thank you for the political donation. And that's not just conservatives. Like Elon cultivated this. It was the Biden administration who gave him this. It was the Obama administration who started giving them subsidies for electric vehicles without any way to pay us back. Why? Because he lobbied the government. Can you lobby the government? I doubt it. I doubt anybody in here has enough money to lobby the government. Leftist propaganda. That's right. It's leftist propaganda to say that the federal government is heavily influenced by lobbyists. Yeah. That's woke now too. It's woke to say that the federal government is owned by corporations. That used to just be obvious. That's when Trump first ran, that's kind of what he ran on. You guys used to agree with that. But now that I'm saying it, it's leftist propaganda. Got it. It's going to take 20 years to roll out Medicare for all completely. We should have started years ago. We have to do it soon or we're screwed. Agreed. Or you're going to have to have the same problems that they had in Taiwan where you roll it out quickly and you're going to have budget deficits because it's hard to get the taxation correct. One of those two things. I think we're at the point now we've got to try and shorten that rollout to 10 years. And there's going to be problems. And that sucks too because then the conservatives, every time there's a problem, they'll be like, see, it doesn't work. We got to give the money back to the capitalists. We got to go back to for-profit health insurance. We're going to be stuck fighting this fight forever. Did I miss any other one? Jen said here. Brett said, you want to spur real innovation in this country? Stop tying healthcare to a job. Give people room to start their own businesses. Yeah, heaven forbid we did that, right? Why in the world would we do that? Why would we make it easier for people to invent a product or have their own business? Control their own labor. We need the billionaires to control your labor. We don't want you owning your own labor.
Most powerful individuals we have out there.
But
and
Susan,
he's our
what you're
president.
saying is exactly the point that Dylan is making. It's not about one guy. It's about all of them.
No, I actually disagree. I think Dylan's saying it isn't about one guy.
It is about one guy.
What would you like him to do?
I would like him to go to the people of the United States of America and say, people of the United States of America, your Congress is bought. Your Congress is incapable of making legislation on health care, banking, trade, or taxes because if they do it, they will lose their political funding and they won't do it. But
ironically, that's what Trump ran on the first time. This was a criticism of Obama at the time. Trump probably heard this. He ran on this. Hey guys, everybody's bought and paid for in Washington. And you guys like, fuck yeah. And I get it. Yeah, fuck yeah, say that. And then he goes to Washington and he's bought and paid for. And you're like, well, everybody's doing it, so I'll still support him. Oh, terrific. Who do you hate? Republicans. Who do you hate the most on the left? It's AOC. It's Elizabeth Warren. It's Bernie Sanders. It's right now it's Mamdani. Right now it's Hassan Piker. What are they all saying? They're bought and paid for. What do every one of those politicians have in common? They don't take corporate money. The people that you hate the most agree with you. You know, I know, we all know that we shouldn't be allowing corporate money to run our government. And yet, every time somebody runs on, hey, we've got to stop this shit, one of two things happens. If they're on the right, they win, and then they just sell out, because that's the whole fucking Tea Party. That's Ted Cruz, that's Mike Lee, that's Rand Paul, that's Thomas Massey. Massey's done a better job. That's Josh Hawley. All these people that run on like, I'm a libertarian. I believe we need to get money out of politics. Then they go in and they become filthy fucking rich and they vote for all the bills anyways. And if you're on the left, one of two things happen. You either win and you become the most hated people in Washington or because you're labeled a socialist, and then the Democrats shut you out of power. Like, you can't chair any committees. AOC is the most popular person on the left in Congress. She chairs no committees for like most of her career. She might now. She has no real responsibility. She's the most prominent person in the Democratic Party right now. She's the most recognizable person in the Democratic Party, and she has virtually no influence inside the party. Because why? Because there's all these people. There's Jared Moskowitz and Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries who are taking all this corporate money, and they scare all the other people in the Democratic Party saying, well, if we don't take corporate money, we're going to lose every election. Yeah, word? How's that working? You're getting your dicks kicked in by the DSA who have no money right now. How are the DSA beating your ass in every election? How's that happening? They don't have any money, and they are dominating you. How? Because they're doing real elections. They're doing real work. They're going out on the streets. They're meeting with people, and they're advocating for policies that people actually care about. And yet, the conservatives in the chat will continue to hate those people who don't take corporate money. And look at the conservatives who have been run out of office recently. Who's the most hated conservative right now that's in office by the conservatives? It's Thomas Massey. Doesn't take corporate money. Doesn't think AIPAC should have that level of influence. Do we see a pattern here yet? Step back for a second. Acknowledge that you got to acknowledge something. And everybody needs to acknowledge this. Everybody can be influenced. Everybody winds up on can wind up on a side, and all of us can overlook the problems of our own party in order to point fingers at the other party. And like in some instances, yeah, whatever, that's fine. But when it comes to simple things like don't let corporations have lobbyists. If you walk down the street and you interview 100 people, 100 people are going to say get money out of politics. And if you go into Congress and you say, how many of you are taking corporate money? 90% of them are taking corporate money. And when you say everybody that takes corporate money, leave the room. If they all left the room, you know what would be left with? All the people that conservatives hate. That's what would be left in that room. All the people you hate. How do you think you all came to this conclusion to hate the people who don't take corporate money? How do you think you got there? They don't all have the same policies. You don't think it's possible that maybe the people with all the money are paying the other politicians to push them off to the side and call them crazy? You don't think that's possible? Of course it is. So why can't we get people who don't take corporate money? Because even though everybody here holds the position that we shouldn't allow this type of lobbying, even though you hold that position, most of us are afraid to vote for people who hold that position. Most of us are afraid to make that our line. I won't vote for you if you don't hold that position. Why? Because they're like, oh, the other side's worse. That's why all these people run on other side bad.
President of the United States, and I won't have a country that is run by a bot Congress. So I'm not going to work with a bot Congress and try to be Mr. Big Guy. I'm working with the bot Congress. I'm going to abandon the bot Congress like Teddy Roosevelt did, and I'm going to go to the people of the United States and I'm going to say, you've got a bot Congress. And until we get rid of the bot Congress, which is Jimmy Williams' constant point, which is get the money out of politics, and until a president says that's the problem and says he's going to fix it, there is no policy that I can possibly see, no matter how brilliant your idea may be, or your idea, or my idea, or her idea, or your idea at home, is that idea will not happen as long as there's the capacity to basically fire a politician who disagrees with me by taking funding away from him. Is that a fair assessment?
Now I'm going to piss off probably my audience. There has never in the history of this country been a politician more poised and able to make this change and to get money out of politics and to fix the corruption than Donald Trump. He was a billionaire, rich guy from outside of politics who ran on this whole fucking thing is corrupt. And he got in and he realized, fuck, I can make some money here. And he gave it up. Maybe he never planned on doing anything. I don't. You can decide. I'm not in his head. But we hated that guy that didn't vote for him. We hated him in 2016, but a lot of people really liked him. And you know what? Had Donald Trump gone in and got money out of politics and fixed our healthcare and started forcing the military to pass an audit like he said they were going to, he would have been he could have gone down as the greatest president in history. He could have. And he said he was going to do it. And that's why a lot of you voted for him. And that's why I don't get where we're at now. Now he's a guy who's made $2 billion fucking dollars at least in a year and a half. And now we're like, oh, it's fine. Everybody does it. You went from this guy's going to change everything to this guy is actually going to be the worst of all of them. And you still support him. He could have done it. And look, you don't have to like Donald Trump, but you do need to recognize that he owns an entire party. He owns the entire thing. They will do and say whatever he wants them to do. So had Donald Trump came in and forced the Republicans to get money out of politics, the Democrats, some of them, would have went along with it. And would we still have thought he was a scumbag? Yeah. Would he still have been like a sex criminal? Yeah. But would he have gone down as one of the most consequential presidents in the history of this country? Absolutely. If he did that, if he undid all the corruption that he was talking about, the thing is about Trump is he didn't even try. He didn't even make an attempt to fix any of these problems. He got in and immediately said, nah, I'm part of it now. I'm in. I'm playing the game. I'm going to make a fortune. And we brought him back. Faults? Okay. Fix it. What's faults there? You mean he lied like other politicians? Shocking. Yeah, exactly. We need people like the DSA, whether you're a socialist, capitalist, whatever. How on earth, like if you have a democratic socialist on your ballot right now, why would you vote for anybody else? Nobody else is going to do anything to substantially change this country. Again, not a socialist. I don't like ideology. I don't like ideologues. I don't like tying myself to an economic theory because it allows you to be manipulated. And like any of these economic theories, socialism, capitalism, communism, they can all be corrupted by a leader or a government. And they can all just tell you like, oh, we are doing communism. We are doing socialism. We are doing capitalism. And even when we're not, they're just like, oh, well, at least it's not whatever the other one is. But how on earth could you look at the policies of a democratic socialist on your ballot and vote for somebody else? How? Get rid of all money out of politics? Stop funding forever wars? Provide medical care or medical insurance for everybody in this country? None of them are talking about defunding the police, by the way. There's not a single candidate that says, I want to defund the police. What do you hear when you turn on Fox News or when you see moderate Democrats? Oh, I can't really get on board with defunding the police. Good. Nobody's asking you to. Why do you think that's what they're talking about? Because the politicians that they're supporting don't support all these popular things like Medicare for all and getting money out of politics and ending forever wars. So they can't talk about those really popular things. They have to talk about, did you see that he was on stage with Hassan Piker? I do like Medicare for all. I like this idea of getting money out of politics. I do like this idea of Medicare for all. I do like the idea of ending forever wars, but I just can't get past Hassan Piker saying something 11 years ago. You think that's their real position? That's nobody's real position. Nobody here, that's not your real position. Steven's been here. Steven was arguing about Hassan's fucking dog for an hour. That's not your real position, Steven. It's your way to not talk about these other positions. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear from one of you. Just explain why in the world you're supporting anybody but the DSA. If you have that opportunity, I don't have that opportunity to vote for a DSA candidate. So I got to vote for Katie Hobbs. That sucks. I don't really want to vote for Katie Hobbs. But if you have that person, I don't care how far right, how far left you are. It's crazy to not vote for somebody that's on the DSA platform right now. No, I can't do that. I got to vote for the establishment. I got to vote for the status quo. We can't be taking money out of politics and ending forever wars because socialism is a scary big word. I don't really know what it is, but it's scary. Then you ask these same people like, hey, you think you should be like, do you think you should, like, when you work, do you think you should own that labor? Like, do you think you should be in control of your labor? Do you think you should have that freedom? Yeah. Do you think you should be able to do whatever job you want? Yeah. Okay, so let's take away the things that are standing in the way of that. What's standing in the way of you doing whatever you want? Well, I can't really start like an Amazon company because Amazon's too big. Can't really start a restaurant because there's all these other restaurants that can operate on lower margins. I can't really leave my job because I'll lose healthcare and I've got 3 kids. Okay, so let's fix all that. No, I don't want to do that. Socialism is scary. Okay. It's just, it sucks to see it sucks to see our media. It sucks to see the political discourse. I mean, there's a reason. Like, look at our education here in America. There's a reason why we're dead fucking last because we're completely owned by corporations. I mean, you have Republicans going out and they're like, we need to promote more capitalism in school. We need to fundamentally change our curriculum to promote capitalism. Oh yeah, because it's working so good. That's what we need. We need more people that are just like, no matter how bad it gets with capitalism, we have to stick with it. We got to teach them that in school. Who do you think's funding those movements? Who do you think's behind that movement? The free thinkers. That's who's behind it. Patriots, free thinkers. No. It's rich people. It's corporations. They don't want you to have that level of freedom. That's a real fucking problem for them. Trudy said for the goal. Thank you, Trudy. Brandy said, $2 train. I pay $800 a month for my family's health care when my husband had a bad accident in January. Not only could he not work, but we now owe $60,000 in medical bills. I stress every day someone will get sick. It shouldn't be this way. Richest country in the world. Brandy's husband got in an accident. Now they owe $60,000. And if somebody else gets sick, they're fucked. You more scared of? Are you more afraid of that, or are you more afraid of the word socialism? Socialism. Stacey said, "Great job as always." Thank you. Appreciate that. Neely said, "MAGA's favorite thing is paying more for stuff as long as billionaires make more and poor people get less." It seems to be like, I hate that we have to say that. I really do. I wish that wasn't the case, but give me a better argument. 10 minutes left. All right. Let's see. All right, we'll do these two things real quick. I just want to talk about oil and Strait of Hormuz, and then we'll wrap it up. But spoiler alert: according to everybody, Trump and this administration were lying about the amount of oil that is moving through the Strait of Hormuz.
Rory, can you break down this claim by the U.S. military that they're getting out so much oil from the Strait of Hormuz, and the Secretary of Treasury is confused why oil prices are spiking? What's going on?
Yeah, so let's start with the kind of basic barrel math of the Strait of Hormuz crisis, what we would have talked about even back in March if we were talking about this. So prior to the war, just more than 20 million barrels a day of oil and products left the Strait of Hormuz. It was the busiest hydrocarbon corridor on Earth. It was the aorta of the oil industry. Of that 20-ish million barrels a day, 15 of that was crude oil, and 5 million of that was refined products like diesel and naphtha and jet fuel, and that's going to become important, and we'll get back to that in a second. But overall, 20 million barrels a day. So what we're talking about right now is that Axios is reporting that the U.S. CENTCOM and through this kind of naval operations in their blockade of their counter blockade of Hormuz, that they're smuggling out roughly 10 million barrels a day of oil from the Strait. So that is roughly half of where we had it before the war.
Nice. Isn't that cool? Jamar says it took me digging into my out-of-pocket payments for my insurance to find out I was overcharged $600. That's a good healthcare system. Yeah. No, there's no problems with private insurance, Jamar. That was your fault for sure.
adding, however, some of the offsets or the reroutes that we also were able to manage through the war, things like the East-West pipeline and the UAE's pipeline to Fujairah on the Gulf of Oman, some smuggled Iraqi crude by truck out of Syria. Adding all of that, we had much more oil, potentially using the U.S. military's numbers, potentially as much as 80-85% of pre-war levels. The challenge is that 10 million barrels a day is more than anyone is currently seeing coming out of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, I should note, and I just want to have my kind of dollop of humility as an analyst here, that I have no doubt that the U.S. military and the U.S. Navy imposing this blockade with, ships and radar and flights overhead, that they have a better view of what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz than I do from my desk. However, this same government has had a tentative or tenuous relationship with, forthright and honest reporting of what's going on in the region to date. So I think it's reasonable for us to be cautious to take what they say at face value. What we're currently seeing, what the consensus of tanker trackers using a bunch of different methodologies are all kind of centering around is between 4 and 6 million barrels a day of oil getting out of the Strait of Hormuz. That is a decent chunk. I want to say that's much more than we were getting out at, in March and April.
No, they're claiming 10, right? So it's already half of what we were getting. Now they're claiming 10. If we just keep working backwards, if there's less oil on the market, that means oil prices are going up, which we're all seeing, right? Of course, everybody's seeing that the oil prices are going up. And then that means we have to get into our strategic reserves, which I'll show you here in a minute. And we're in a war that we don't need to be in. That doesn't make any sense. We're paying for Trump's ego. Prices are going up for Trump's ego. And that was always kind of a lot of our fear with Donald Trump, is that when it came to doing the right thing or admitting that you were wrong, we always feared, and there's evidence that Trump will just choose his ego. He'll double down on bad policy to not admit that he was wrong. And that's what we have here in Iran. He thought he could get it done in a week. He saw what happened in Venezuela. He's like, oh, they'll just roll over. And they didn't. And now he can't back out because he's got too big of an ego. And he's got an army of sycophants working for him. They try, but there's nothing he could do. The only solution to this that makes any sense is leave, run away, tuck your tail, call it a day, go home, and let Iran rebuild. But we can't do that because of Trump's ego.
Before, what we saw emerge was this kind of smuggling operation.
There's 50 years of reasons for war with Iran. No, there's not. There's zero. Give me one good reason that we should go to war with Iran. I'll wait for I'll look for that. Who was that? Daniel Astor. Give me a reason why we should go to war with Iran. What was the imminent threat? Because remember, our Constitution requires an imminent threat for us to go to war. So you've got to tell me, in those 50 years, what was the imminent threat?
And this is likely facilitated in large part by the U.S. government. This is the so-called kind of post-Project Freedom convoy efforts, basically at night with naval escorts, flights overhead in drones, and defending these things. But
thank you, Robin.
Again, this is likely too much in terms of what they're claiming. We could be undercounting, but it seems unlikely that they're getting double the amount out than what we're seeing. Typically, what will happen is that you will see these dark transits proven after, and what we mean by dark, I should just say, is they've turned off their
concepts of an imminent threat. Yeah,
what's called their AIS transponders. This is how most of us track these things online and kind of see where they are on a map. Those are turned back on eventually, even if they turn them off to transit so they can be safe, which is totally reasonable. Then they turn them back on when they say get to the Strait of Malacca when they're going through to Asia. That we haven't seen, and we're now talking weeks.
Oh, okay. You mentioned Hormuz and oil and sycophants. Have money.
Have gone by.
Enjoy your erection, illusion.
By where we should have seen these ships turn back up if we are getting that volume out. Similarly, we're not seeing anywhere near that number loading in the Gulf. I mean, the other thing is that we're talking about transits here, but the oil needs to go onto a tanker somewhere, and those loadings are typically more visible to us than the transits because they're only loading in a couple particular ports and points, also not showing up to the degree that we would expect to support those numbers. So I would say I was initially, when Secretary Chris Wright, Energy Secretary, said this a week or two ago, he had 9 million barrels a day. I said, it's plausible but likely an exaggeration. Because again, there could have been more dark transits that turned up. A week and a half later, I would say it's seeming more just like fiction than an exaggeration even. And we're just not seeing anywhere near these numbers. Again, we're seeing between 4 and 6 million barrels a day getting out.
Didn't we win this war 30 times already? It seems like it. The deadliest single Iranian-backed attack on U.S. troops was January 20th, 2024. Drone strikes on Tower 22, a U.S. logistics outpost in northeastern Jordan, carried out by the Iran-backed militia Hezbollah. That attack killed 3 U.S. soldiers. Cool. What's the imminent threat, though? Right? Because that's what we're asking for. I didn't ask for the most deadly attack. I just asked what the imminent threat was. That's required to go to war. Normally, unless you have a Congress who are a bunch of cucks for the president. I just show this and then we'll get out of here. But there was a time not that long ago, and about right here. See this little dip right here? If you can see my mouse. This is when during the Biden administration, we were releasing oil from the strategic oil reserves. And Donald Trump said this was politically motivated. What Donald Trump was essentially saying is Joe Biden is releasing oil from the oil reserves so that Americans don't have to pay quite as much for gas, because supply and demand, right? So if you put more on the market, then that brings the price down. They wanted to keep it, I think, below $95 a barrel. That was after the invasion in Ukraine and then the aftermath of COVID. So it was like kind of double whammy. And Trump hit him on this all the time. He's like, it was political. Well, you want to tell me what this is then? Because then Trump took office here. We were building, and then funk. That's not political? Drags us into a war we don't need to be in. And now our strategic oil reserves are at their lowest point since the 80s. Now, for the record, he's doing the right thing to try and fix the supply and demand. But we didn't need to do this. We were on a good trajectory. We were refilling our oil reserves. And then we went to a pointless war. We got tricked by Israel and went to war with Iran. And now we're all paying for it. And now we have to bleed the oil reserves even more. Will any of you, or will Trump come out and be like, oh, actually, this is just political? He'll probably drain it even more. Because gas prices are a big problem, and the midterms are coming up. So I would imagine in the not too distant future, we will hit a lower number than here. We may fall below 200 million. That's a thing. I know this is it's just more evidence that we're politically divided. But I can't think of anything that Trump has criticized Democrats of doing that he doesn't do himself. I mean, we had to hear about Hunter Biden for a year. We had to hear about the Biden crime family for 4 years, Biden crime family for 4 years. It doesn't hold a candle to what Trump is doing, and not a peep from you guys. Forget if it was Trump or the Heritage Foundation, but years ago, one of them proposed draining it completely. I don't know about that. I'm unfamiliar with that. I don't know. All right. Did I get everything? I think I did. I think it got all. Sorry, I didn't update the gift goal, but you guys knocked that out, and I appreciate it. Jen, did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. You have anything to say before we get out of here?
Nope.
All right, cool. All right, everybody, we will be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, wherever you're watching today, whether it be YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Facebook. I think those are the only places that we're live. And thank you for being here. I want to check back on our TikTok viewers. Johnny, Nan, Plants on the Spectrum, Dolphin, Jen, Leanne, and La Raleigh. Thank you for being top gifters over on TikTok today. And thank you, everybody who contributed to our gift goal. Appreciate you guys. Being crowdfunded is not always the most fun, but it is rewarding, and I appreciate that you guys are here each and every day. In the meantime, until I see you tomorrow morning, go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't touch grass or smoke grass or do them combined, then best of luck to you. I don't know what you're going to do. Perhaps one thing you could do is figure out a way to get your boots on the ground. The way that you do that is you reach down, you find your bootstraps, pull yourself up by those bootstraps, and then get those boots on the ground to do something useful. But before you do that, look in the mirror, say something nice about yourself, and drink lots of water, because staying hydrated is important, and it's hot as shit outside. But until I see you guys tomorrow morning, bright and early, take care of yourselves. Be nice to your friends, your families, and those that you love. But most importantly, be nice to yourself consistently. And until I see you in the morning, I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.